got the fam, I got the keys, I get the work. I am the man, you know what I'm saying? So leave it to me, cause I get it first. Yeah, woo, I've been going all day, man. Same plan, can't change that. Till I'm riding around, whole squad sitting back, chilling in the Maybach. Yeah, only as deep as your roots go. I don't do corny like fructose. If you got the drama, that's word of my mama. I'll cover you up like a toast. I was last in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work. If you work and it's fun, we on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We can do, ayy, we coming up from the dirt, ayy. They tryna get us to fall, ayy. I don't even gotta flex now, boy. It's only one by default, ayy. Taking off with the ring, ain't nothing left, man. We the kings, ran with the team, ran with the dream, ran with the one fan in the seats, ayy. I pay my dues, check the receipt. Looking at you, you already peaked. Way, way, way back then. You can't follow with my tracks, man. I was last in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work. If you work and it's fun, we on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up.
coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead.
Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe. For all he's with here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out? Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call. It's time to duel in the desert with double the action. With that, we welcome you to the second round of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series in Season 3 from the virtual Phoenix Raceway as we kick off our live coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network. And as always, to bring you along this third season will be myself, Kenneth Bueno, joined by Charlie Baier alongside. And Charlie, to start things off, the last time we visited this venue, it was the site of the championship, but now it's drawn only to the second race after the 200 at Daytona, the second race of the season, but this time with double the action. 2 thrillers here tonight.
Yeah, fresh off of an exciting super speedway race and finished Bridger Olsen taking the win last week, but a lot of guys that are looking for redemption here, including people like Brody Garner and Dominic Howe, who came up short last week at Daytona. So this is a good chance to really prove your strengths on what's called a driver track, or a shorter track that involves a lot more driver skill and doesn't really rely on draft that much. So it's a good place to rebound for some of these guys to get another good jump in points.
And all things to be discussed, especially after that nail-biting end to the 200 at Daytona last week with the Bridger Olsen taking that checkered flag. But we shoot out to the desert here for the second race, which will start our stint throughout the season. And tonight is not only the second race of the season, but it is a first for the series entirely. Tonight will feature a doubleheader event with a 60-lap race to start in daytime conditions and a 70-lap shootout under the lights to follow this one once this one is over. Charlie, I have to ask, with the dynamic that this track, you said it was a driver's track, one of the shorter tracks we see in this season, especially with a track that changes so much, and especially tonight where we'll see the display of both ends of the spectrum, what's going to be the ultimate challenge as these drivers face the blazing heat and the cooler temperatures tonight in both races?
Well, yeah, based on what I've been seeing in practice, a lot of these guys are struggling with grip on corner exits. So especially coupled with the heat and the colder-ish tires that'll heat up over the long runs here tonight, I think it'll definitely be a challenge to get these cars to fire off without the back end trying to step out on these guys. So we saw it last season for the season finale. Cole Williams took the win back then, but it's kind of a whole different story tonight, especially jumping into a night state with race number 2 tonight.
Definitely going to be something to watch for, and especially with Cole Williams taking the win in that season finale where we crowned the champion. But a little more information about this track, we'll just take a look at where we are in the virtual world of our KBRN Track Map with images provided by Google Earth. Going to take a look all the way down into the desert side of things. Go look at the Phoenix Raceway. 1 exact mile around this racetrack, 4 turns located in Avondale, Arizona. You see, at least on the map, the front straightaway already there where the dogleg is, where that renovation was made. But in the iRacing side of things, still have it all the way on the front straightaway. So the banking will just look a little different in terms of that going into this race. So we'll definitely see both sides of the action. Well, we'll see the daytime conditions. You can see right now as practice starts to draw to a close, and you can see that we'll be over to the nighttime. We'll have under the lights action right there where the cactus is down here at Phoenix here tonight. We have the drivers already gridding, so it's our time to take a look at your starting grid, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be starting here tonight. On the pole will be Cole Williams with a 27.035. He will start on the pole right alongside Dylan Basin will start from second.
Row number 2 sees Nick Miller starting on the inside there, and Parker White on the outside. 2 championship contenders that were fighting for a championship at this exact racetrack last season. They round out row number 2.
And in row number 3 is defending champion Blaze McKinney. Going to try to look for a better run tonight after his mishap at Daytona. He'll start tonight from 5th, and starting alongside him, the Flying Arrows teammate Shane DiMantova in the 20 will start from 6th.
Right behind them, starting numbers in the 7th position, is A.M. Marini Jr. wheeling the number 2 car. He'll start 7th. To his outside, Aiden B. Murray, good friend of Parker White's, and Brady Wheelman starting 8th.
Back to row number 5, Riley Marabello in the 92 will start from 9th. Aaron Tribble will roll off from the 10th position. Going to look a little bit further back in this field. Aiden Kirker, Mark Love. Lots of names, Charlie, to be looked at, especially through this grid. Got names like Brady Weileman, obviously Glenn Bundren, Corey Hart, those guys starting in the midst of row number 9. Brody Garner, the almost winner at the 200 last week, finished 2nd. He starts from 19th. Got a couple drivers also as well. Sartaj down in 24th, and even some newcomers like Francisco Bacalao up here in row number 13. That's going to be the look through this entire field, and you can see everyone gridded right there behind the iRacing official pace car. Still, I believe, looking just for Cole Williams to make his appearance, and there is Cole Williams there right on the racetrack, so that means we will be heading green very, very shortly here from the Phoenix Raceway in Arizona. The dead heat for 60 laps in our first race of our doubleheader. Always, of course, glad to have you join us along for this action. And Charlie, I know that this is quite possibly one of the biggest differences we see, because we're going from a super speedway all the way to a short track, which we did see last season when we went to Daytona, that went off to Richmond. Now, though, it is a different situation with this doubleheader, especially with the full points at stake. Which drivers do you think we can take the best opportunity here at a place like Phoenix and take all those points away, trying to get up in the championship?
Well, right now I'm looking at our pole sitter right now. He was the race winner, like I said, last season in the finale, but I'm also looking at someone like Blaze McKinney and Parker White and Nick Miller. All four of those guys who were fighting for a championship lap season are in the top 5 right here. So it's definitely going to be a battle between them. You also want to bring in A.M. Maroney Jr. and Shane DiMantova will also have experience here.
They'll be looking for a lot of experience through this field, but up front it is Cole Williams, defending winner, and Dylan Basin up to the front of this field. Pace car is down, and we are racing from Phoenix.
Smooth sailing, no issues through turn number 1. They're going to fan out all the way to the infield wall down the back straightaway here.
Clean from turn number 1 all the way to turn number 4, and lap number 1 concluded. And as soon as we got that, we have our first yellow already near the back of this field. And it starts with William Schmidt around with hard damage to his number 79 roof claims Toyota Camry. We'll take a replay. Seems as though he was involved in this incident that sent out this yellow flag. We'll take a look. This was on the opening lap. You see him in the gaggle of the cars here with JJ Hill. There's also one of the Peak Performance Motorsports machines, the 46. I believe that's Dane Cruz. This is coming in at turn 3 and 4. Not sure whether it was contact. Actually, Francisco got up into the outside wall. That sent the number 79 into that as well. Unfortunately, it looked as though that incident. A little bit further back as we were looking. There was the number 30 up to the top. You can see just looking in a 3 and 4, just a little too deep, and then the 79 gets into him.
Yeah, I just missed the corner there, and that'll cost him because there are no fast pairs.
And no fast repairs given to these drivers. So our first yellow comes out on the first lap of this race already with, I believe, it's just a 2-car incident. Got some drivers already down pit road, of course, most of them heading to get some of their damage fixed. About 40 drivers entered into this race. I believe some of them have yet to make a start. At least some of them have yet to start this race, get the green flag. Some of them did start on pit road. I believe Kilo Hankins was one of those drivers. He was exiting pit road as the caution waved legitimately on lap number 1. But they're going to start to rejoin the field. I think probably the best situation for the drivers who did start on pit road, because they're already on their way to getting at least on the lead lap, and they won't have to worry about losing a lot of time to the drivers in the main pack. Just a reminder that if you're in the YouTube chat and you want to join the conversation with us up in the booth, you can do so by using hashtag AskKBRN. You can do any question you like following with that hashtag AskKBRN with your question. You can ask anything to us up in the booth, of course, within appropriate reason. That's hashtag AskKBRN for anything you'd like to ask. Well, not much to really talk about, at least in this opening lap, because of that yellow, but still got a lot of action. Still relatively unchanged for the most part in these first couple of rows. Did see Parker White, I believe, fall back just a little bit to the likes of Aaron Maroney. He's running his number 2 Toyota Camry. Did not see that when we went to our first race at Daytona. He was actually running a Mustang with the colors of one of his teams that he was representing. It was a white and blue scheme, looking for a red, black, and white TRD scheme this time around. But I think, Charlie, I'll just give you this question right before we start to get the 1 to green signal. We'll be heading green very, very shortly. And, you know, guys like Cole Williams, I know you said you were looking out for him. Of course, Blaze McKinney and Parker White, who I know was already with what happened in the championship race where there was contact between the two. He got sent around. There was a lot of chaos that happened over there. I know this is a regular season event, so the championship implications aren't necessarily as big, but what kind of tensions do you think could possibly arise from a race like this, especially when we have early races that could decide which drivers are up in the points for that certain amount of time?
Oh, short tracks do bring bumpers to the rear ends of other cars, so I would definitely, like you said, see some tensions rise here, especially with these kind of tight corners. So, like you said.
All right, well, we are ready to get this green once again. White Dueling asks in the chat, who is your underdog pick to win? I think right now, if I'm looking at anyone down in this grid, I'd probably be looking for Brady Wileman, one of the drivers, or Aiden Kirker, one of the drivers who's a little bit further back in this field. They have had their fair share of experience here at the Phoenix Raceway. Going to try once more to green flag, and we'll see if we get a longer green flag run this time around. Cole Williams on the loud pedal, and we are back under green from Phoenix. Look at Blaze McKinney trying to make the move to the outside. He gets contact with Dylan Basin, and into the outside wall he goes. Oh my goodness, what a move up there in a 3 and 4. Tried to look to the outside, but was just too deep in the corner. He's going to fall back all the way through this top 10. He's going to fall back behind Aiden Kirker. Early contact, though, for 2 of the front runners.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt Blaze McKinney. He took a slap to the outside wall. And with no fast repair, that's really going to cost him a lot of time here. As he's currently trying to get past by the 0-2 of Liam Sheen. But Shane DiMantova moves into the top 5.
Shane DiMantova was one of the drivers we saw in the OWC NASCAR Cup Series when they made their appearance here at the Phoenix Raceway. Of course, a lot less drivers, but still made somewhat of an impact. Still running some laps around on this race, and you can see now just trying to look under. He got under the 39 of Aiden Kirker. Tried to look under Nick Miller in the number 9 machine, but was not able to. Good run already for the Flying Arrows number 20 machine, who started alongside his teammate. But if you look up front, that number 95 of Parker White has shot up to second, and he's already putting the pressure on the race leader.
Yeah, he's closed that gap along with Aaron Maroney, who's trailing right behind him. And speaking of the second and third place drivers, Aaron Maroney and Parker White, they had a bit of a mishap coming in to the finale race last season there. Parker White was leading the championship when Maroney got into his back bumper, and that kind of started a long-lasting rivalry between them, and it hasn't really settled down since they've been on the racetrack with each other. But to the inside goes Parker White, trying to take the race lead on that number 10.
White looking under in turn 1 and 2. Going to try to get under the number 82 of Cole Williams. So far looking to be the case. And new race leader on lap number 10, that 95. And saw him take the race win in the OWC NASCAR Cup Series at this venue. Has been very strong at this venue. Was always almost actually very close to that title before the contact with Aaron Mulrooney. But we'll just look a little bit further back through this top 5 as Shane DiMantovo finally found his way under Nick Miller, as Aiden Kirker is going to try to follow.
Yeah, Shane's one of those drivers that I really think about when it comes to Phoenix, because I know he's very, very quick here, really in any race car. Same with kind of Blaze McKinney, but Blaze McKinney's kind of falling back right now. But, you know, Shane, I've known him for a long time, and I know that he knows this track very, very well, and he's making up some good time right now, currently sitting fourth.
And you mentioned those new colors. Obviously, you mentioned how good Shane has been at this facility. Also, you can take a look at the new colors that are on that race car. You haven't seen this when we went to the Clash in the Daytona International Speedway just a couple weeks back, as we got a caution on the racetrack. Second one of the evening. Not sure exactly which it belongs to. See Francisco with some more damage. Could have been possibly the cause of that yellow flag. So not exactly sure, but actually, it might have been Bridger Olsen, defending 200 winner from last week, has damage. See if we can get a look with that number 59. See if we can get any sort of look with that, with any of the drivers here. See, this is after the yellow. There's Bridger Olsen. I believe that was Kadarius Tave as well. That went around on the racetrack. And you see him battling with the 59 here. This was just a lap shy of the yellow. They were side by side, and this was going into turn number 1 and 2. That was the site of this yellow flag, and I believe here might have been the cause. Looking up to 22, it gets in. Actually, Dylan Basin got spun right in front of them. Basin had trouble before this, and he actually got turned by Mark Love in the 23. And then see everyone trying to avoid the 22. It's up into the outside wall. Bridger Olsen gets a piece of that as well. And a caution waves for the second time as they go down pit road for damage. Actually, everyone's down pit road. The leaders are as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't typically see a tire strategy here because there are unlimited tire sets with these guys. So, obviously, you could come down a lot earlier than you would if you're trying to save a set in a series that does have limited tire sets.
Saw some drivers did stay out. That was Shane DiMantovo, who we were just talking about, to stay out on pit road. Nick Miller, Liam Sheen, Jonathan Jones were the drivers that stayed out. Parker White did lead the charge off pit road, so he beats Cole Williams and the rest of the gang out of pit road. So they'll be at least within this top 5 for now as everything starts to cycle out through. And got a question by Racing Spino 90. He asked, can we watch the race in iRacing? Yes, you can. If you go to I believe it is the one of the watch sessions, it would say, actually look for hosted. You could go down and the tab would say watch Ghost Crew or Spot, and then you can go there, look at league races, and then you can find the Bundren Lawn Care Series there, and you can take a look and watch the race from the iRacing perspective on the iRacing platform. Of course, that gives you so much leverage, so much room. And obviously, one of the great things about sim racing, Charlie, is that, of course, you know, you could not necessarily be in the race. You won't necessarily just need to watch the broadcast. You could look at the broadcast for reference sake. You can also just take a look in iRacing itself. Join the session and watch and get full vantage points. You could take a look. I know that you have done your fair share of that, going into the stands kind of with that perspective. It's one of the great things that sim racing can provide. And of course, you can join the session up here and spectate over and watch all the drivers of the Bundren Lawn Care Series go out of here as we got a caution on lap number 15.
All right, well, by the looks of it, Shane DiMantovo, Nick Miller, Liam Sheen, and Jonathan T. Jones are going to lead the field of the green flag. Kind of a shuffle up from what they were into the green flag. So Shane will be your race leader as they come around. We just got the 1 to green, so we'll go ahead and go back racing on lap number 17.
We'll see the difference, especially here, Charlie, within the fresh tires and the old tires. Remember, these 4 that are staying up, that are occupying pretty much the first 2 rows, DiMantovo, Miller, Sheen, and Jones, they're all on the older tires. Meanwhile, Cole Williams, Parker White, and everyone practically behind them have fresh rubber underneath their race cars. So we'll just see how big of a difference that makes, especially in this opening run. I'm not sure whether it'll be as much here in this early one as if it was just, say, a longer one throughout. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to find out. Field will be in the hands of Shane DiMantova, though, in a 3 and 4 with Nick Miller, who's outside. Liam Sheen, Jonathan Jones already in this second row. They go off of turn 4. Pace car is going to make his way down to pit road, and we are back under green from Phoenix. Huge jump by Shane DiMantova, going to get the early start into turn number 1. Nick Miller will also follow suit. Liam Sheen and Jonathan Jones, however, will also single out. Meanwhile, everyone behind going to try to charge.
Standing out, everyone's trying to get as much apron as they can. We're looking 5 wide in the back with Brady Wheelerman. Then we got contact there, 1 car around.
Oh, got a huge crash. That's Cody Webster involved. I believe another proximity racing driver is involved as well. And a caution waves Cody Webster around. Huge damage. I believe that's Andy McDowell as well in the 98. Indeed it is. Both proximity racing entries with huge damage here on lap number 18. We'll look at this, and you said they were going 5 wide, and I think I can really believe you on that one. This is a lot of cars here in this group. There's Brady Weileman. There's Cody Webster, Andy McDowell, the 72. I believe that's Riley Marabello as well. Here's contact to start this out. The 9 gets into the 98 with contact from the 72. And then everyone just trying to get by. I saw Glenn Bundren and JJ Hill almost sneak through. Barely enough to get there. And our caution is out as Miller will go down pit road. Everybody else, though, will stay out. As Webster has damaged McDowell practically out of this race. Those drivers now getting their damage fixed. There's Dylan Basin with even more damage. He's got his front bumper completely torn off. All 3 of them do, actually. They're all going to make their way down to the pit lane. So as we wrap around our second yellow, or our third yellow of the evening, excuse me, we'll be looking up very quick. And you did say that the short tracks do bring the bumper. Surely they have brought the bumper so far. We see the drivers give the edge to somebody, especially in the mid-pack. That seems to be where everything is going on. That's really causing a lot of these yellows. Of course, our first yellow started with Francisco Bacalhau, who got into the outside wall and collected William Schmidt. Second caution involved Bridger Olson, Kadarius Tave, and Dylan Basin. And now this one involving just a handful of cars, 2 proximity racing drivers, Webster, McDowell, and a handful of others that also caught some damage there as well. I believe one of the Richmar Flores cars got damage from there as well. That's Cole Woody, the number 17. He also had damage from this as well. He'll be making his way out of pit road. And now under another yellow, going to look at our weather and see exactly the specifics about the weather. We should have been talking about this at the pre-race, but nonetheless, about an air temp of about 80 degrees, winds to the north at about 2 miles per hour, got humidity at 1%, fog is at 0%. Our skies are looking partly cloudy. You can see the sun just shining right over the racetrack. It's a beautiful, beautiful day in the virtual sim here at Phoenix Raceway. So to start things off, Charlie, of course, a couple of quick yellows to start this one. We've already had 3 to start this action, and already lap number 20. Still have about 40 laps to go until we get to the end of this thing. And now looking at what we're seeing so far from the daytime, do you believe this is going to continue? Do you think we'll probably see a lot more of this, or do you think we'll probably end up getting somewhat of a green flag run for these next 40 or some laps?
I think obviously just as a natural kind of racing thing, we'll get through the first couple yellows, and I believe we'll get kind of a longer green flag run that'll kind of let everyone to settle in. But obviously have to get through these first couple yellows first in order to get to that point.
You know what they say, gotta get to the rain before you get to the rainbow, I guess, if that's the right saying. I'm saying that correctly, but we'll just see if we can get to that rainbow sooner than later through the rest of this race. Still DiMantova at the top of this field. Liam Sheen up to second. Marco White found his way up to fourth as Jonathan T. Jones took over third. 1 spot lost because Nick Miller decided to go down pit road that last time by. On that last yellow, will be in the hands of the Flying Arrows machine of Shane DiMantova and Liam Sheen. Back on the loud pedal, lots of checking up to the inside line, but we are back under green. Here's Parker White trying to look under Liam Sheen for a second. He's got the fresh rubber to make room to the bottom, so we'll just see how he's able to do so. Almost getting clear. Meanwhile, Shane DiMantova still leading this charge. It's a lot of drivers, though, in a hornet's nest behind. There's Cole Williams, who started practically there on the front row. Riley Marabello in the 92 also as well. Aiden Kirker, Josh Patterson, Aaron Maroney, who fell further back in this field and now has a little bit of damage there on that front of that Toyota Camry. But there are a lot of drivers here in this mix.
Yeah, and this is what the difference makes between you know, fresh tires and old tires. But Parker White making up a lot of good ground right now, faster than Cole Williams has, and he's looking for the race lead. Cautions out.
That's a 0-0 of Brian Chirico, who went around. Andy McDowell also had a piece, so he's around. And again, another quick yellow. I guess we're still not done with the rain just yet. So another yellow to bring us out. Fourth yellow of the evening comes down here. We'll just take another replay. We'll get a look at exactly what happened. Did see driver go around. Did see the 0-0. It actually started. The 7 got tagged around here. A lot of drivers in this mix went again. There's Nick Miller. There's contact with the 7. And then he starts going around. The 0-0 also went around. Andy McDowell got a piece of that and then gets contact with the outside wall and goes spinning. By the way, that driver was PJ Merrill, who went around the first time. And again, just look at the contact between the two. Just coming off turn 4, gets loose. And that's one of the talking points we're going to be having here all night, Charlie, is drivers getting loose off of these corners, especially in 3 and 4, and trying to put the throttle down. There have been massive complaints about trying to keep the car under you, especially when you go into turns 3 and 4. Everyone's going to go down, but actually, with the exception of Parker White and Cole Williams, they're going to try to fake a lot of other drivers to head down to the pit lane. But again, that talking point of the package, at least, that we have with these NASCAR Cup Series machines, when you go to tracks like Phoenix, when you go to these short tracks, you have the high horsepower and low downforce configuration. So you have about 750 horsepower down to the engines, and you have, of course, the short blade spoiler, the shorter splitter. You have less downforce to work with, so the car can easily get squirrely, can easily snap on you. And a lot of drivers have been talking about how the cars have been so loose, especially in the 3 and 4, where the corners are very flat. And usually it's not necessarily a struggle down in 1 and 2 as much as it is down in 3 and 4 because of how flat it is. And it's been just a struggle point for a lot of these drivers, even when we went to the championship race just a couple months back. So again, another yellow lap, number 26. This time have a couple drivers that did stay out, so our field will look like this. Parker White, Cole Williams will be second. Actually, Sartaj Mom making his appearance with a little bit of damage, but nonetheless still finding his way out. Aaron Tribble, we haven't seen so far all this evening. He's looking into fourth. Brady Weileman, who I did talk about a little earlier, into fifth. Remember, some of these drivers have had their experience in other leagues. Of course, in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, people like Cole, people like Aiden, people like Parker, and maybe even Blaze or Brady Weileman have had their experience here at Phoenix Raceway, so they know exactly both kind of conditions in that season. And they're coming in with some intel, at least, about that, especially guys like Brady Weileman, who is kind of in similar conditions when they went to Phoenix in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series race in the playoffs. You can see the banner right there on the top of his car. Of course, that doesn't signify anything other than the LWRC playoff banner, so that means that he is the playoff banner. Actually, good for him. He's going to be making the championship for Homestead at Saturday in a week's time. So also very good news for that number 51 that he'll be making the championship for on that side of things. And of course, it came from the help at a track like this where he had a decent finish. Looking for 1 to green this time by. Pace car lights are off, so we will get the green flag just very shortly. And two Toyota Camrys out in the front of this field. This battle has been tense between these two. They have been very, very respectful colleagues, but also just competitive races along the way, especially at a track like this where both of them are so efficient at, and they've been able to manage the best and the worst out of this track They've been able to manage the best they can. Parker coming off a win in the LWC Cup Series. Cole Williams coming off a win earlier in that season there, and actually coming off a win in this series last season in the finale race. Going to look off of turn number 4 for the pace car, and the iRacing official pace car will make its way down to pit road. We'll try one more time on a green flag restart on lap number 29. Parker White with an early start, going to jump easily into turn 1.
And with the jump like you said, but side by side for second place, looks like Sartaj Man fighting on the inside of Cole Williams. Not going to take the apron to try to push him off the track, try to get another advantage, but Aaron Tribble moves up in 4th place.
Aaron Tribble looking to the outside, and look who's back in the picture. Blaze McKinney, although he had some of that damage from that earlier incident with Dylan Basin and the contact with the outside retaining wall, he's still actually maintaining some consistency now under pressure, though, from Nick Miller on the inside, and Aaron Tribble also doing the same to Sartaj Man for 3rd. But meanwhile, Parker White has extended his lead by just about half a second and change. Still a lot of battles to do, though, in this top 5. Brody Garner is also here.
Parker White extends his lead to over half a second over the 82 of Cole Williams. Sartaj Man fighting back on the inside here, but lots of guys trying to get past Aaron Tribble, starting with Brody Garner on his outside.
And Brody Garner, we mentioned, just short of the win at the Daytona International Speedway just last week, and was just short over, just below 0.056 seconds between him and Brody Garner. Bridger Olson actually to the line, and also did lose the Talladega Super Speedway race, but also took a win at the Charlotte Roval just last season in the playoffs. So Brody Garner still has 1 win for the Bundren Lawn Care Series season, has had his chances at a couple more victories, and right now actually looking very strong in this early run. Everybody single filed out, though, and Sartaj Man has moved his way up to 3rd.
All right, well, maybe this could be our green flag run, like we were saying, where people can just try to settle in and try to get into a rhythm here.
And there's contact there between Liam Sheen and Brady Wylam. Was just looking at them as they were battling for 6th. And right behind Brody Garner and the rest of these guys, got a lot of drivers in this mix. Did see Nick Miller, though, fall back through this group specifically. Was up in the top 5 before falling back through this grid. There's Mark Love, who we saw almost very close to a win at the Daytona International Speedway. He's been consistent last season. He's going to look for more consistency this season. Had a good start in the top 5 at Daytona. We'll look for even more as we battle through this top 10. But if you're looking all the way to the front, that green number 95 Bundren machine has been leading this charge. 1.2 seconds last time by to Cole Williams.
And I think it's worth mentioning that Parker White does not have a single win in the Bundren Lawn Care Series. So we're looking at his first win in this league in season number 2. He's been racing with us all throughout season number 2, but this is season number 3, and he's face to face with his first win, pulling away.
Still about halfway through this race, and of course that's another conversation to be had, as we just got a yellow flag. I was just about to expand on that. That Shane DeMantova actually was battling in this top 10, and Brady Weileman involved in this yellow. So while we were looking at that battle, just took a glimpse at Parker White up front, and all of a sudden they got into trouble. We'll take a look, get our KBRN replay as they both went around. I believe this was off turn number 2. And here's a look. Actually, this was them battling with Mark Love, Aaron Maroney. There's Riley Marabello as well. This is off of turn number 2. I think Shane maybe got a little bit high on the racetrack and got loose right there, tried to catch the car. Brady Weileman looked low, and then, oh, just the entrance, that transition down to the dog leg. So tough, as the cars can really snap, and some contact between him and the 51. Don't think it's too much, though, to really hurt them as badly, but still that contact nonetheless. Here's an onboard look. That's enough to trigger our yellow flag as they all go down pit road. I mean, actually, everyone behind Parker White will go down pit road. But as I was talking about right before we got that yellow, Charlie, of course, it's still hard to really remember that Parker White has yet to pick up a victory in this season, or at least in the series so far. When he joined in season 2, I made all those starts, and has been close to the win a couple of times. He mentioned, I know some notable races, much like Chicagoland, where he was right on Hunter Johnson's back bumper in the final laps before we got into the green-white checkers, and Blaise McKinney took the victory. Went over at Charlotte, where on old tires, he was also not able to pick up the win. Also at Las Vegas, where it went down a strategy. Parker White was again on the old tires, and succumbed to all the drivers that took fresh rubber before on the last restart. So Parker White has been so close, has had his fair share of just a look at what a win is like here in this series. He's been dominant so far, had a little mishap on pit road, so he'll look to be 5th as Cole Williams gets out of pit road first. And Blaise McKinney out to 2nd. Another yellow this evening is looking about the same drivers up through this top 5 and actually seeing Blaise McKinney back up to 2nd. We already had our conversation last week, Charlie, about what it's like to be a defending champion, and going into this race, I had talked to him just a couple of days before we got green flag racing and here at Phoenix, and Blaise McKinney had said that he was pretty much not good at this track. He said, quote unquote, he was terrible at this track and that he was very slow, and that he was very worried about how it was going to be, that a lot of other drivers would be much faster than him, but still holding strong. And even last season was able to hold on in the top 5, was battling with Nick Miller, Aaron Mulrooney, Parker White before the end of that race, and it was a battle for the ages to watch, of course within the championship 4, but also just watching it in terms of the battle just for position, just for watching a second on back pretty much battling within each other and having kind of a little train of cars that easily could change any moment. And Blaise McKinney will now look to be starting on the inside of row 1, as Cole Williams actually decided to opt for a high side move. Pretty interesting move out here on the high side for turn number 1.
Yeah, that's a different strategy. I'm not really sure if the outside line will have the power in turns 1 and 2, but we'll see how it works. Maybe Blaise McKinney can fight on the inside, try to take that spot.
We'll try to see, but especially if Cole Williams gets a good start like we've seen so many times with drivers on restarts, it could just be easy for Cole Williams to easily get out in front and have all clear sights into turn number 1. We'll just have to find out, as the 82 will lead this charge off of turn number 4. Pace car is down. We'll try another green flag attempt as very loose goes the 82. Blaise McKinney will look for the race lead. Brody Garner tried to look almost 3 wide down the bottom into turn 1.
Almost contact between the 55 and the 02, Brody Garner and Liam Sheen, but Liam Sheen, using this restart to his advantage, powers up to the 3rd position, traps Parker White in 4th, right side by side with Brody Garner.
Garner, they're looking 3 wide behind. That was Mark Love, Aaron Tribble, and possibly Aiden Kirker, but looking to the top. It's still, though, a dogfight for 3rd on back. There's Brody Garner looking under Parker White. Parker White, though, still trying to maintain his grind up top, and contact between the two sends the 95 around. Caution waves at lap number 41 with just 20 laps to go, as White took a trip around in a turn 1 and 2 after contact with Brody Garner. Sends him up the track. We just saw this in full straight view as it was looking into turn number 1 side by side with Brody Garner. Well, Garner just did not have the entrance to maintain the rest of the bottom, keep the space down low, kind of drifted up the track, got into the 95. Shades of what we saw in the championship race last season.
Yeah, I was about to say that looks awfully similar to what last season's finale.
And turn number 1, there it is. Contact. Sends him around. Luckily, no damage, though. I don't believe there's really any damage from the contact between him and Garner. And obviously did not even end up hitting the outside wall. Probably will go down for tires, though, as he's now 23rd on the grid. He's going to have to carve his way through the field. Brody Garner, though, does go down pit road. Don't believe we have anyone else going to make their appearances down to the pit lane. And now we're already getting to the end of this first race, lap number 43, with just about, I'd say, 19 or actually 18 laps to go before we get to the end of the checkered flag for race number 1. Still have another race at 70 laps under the lights before we are actually done here from the desert, and then we'll move on into the rest of this schedule. Not sure whether Texas will for sure be out of this schedule, but I believe with this doubleheader, it will remove Texas from the schedule, and then we'll move on and go back to Daytona Beach, where we'll find the Daytona road course. So it'll be one of the more interesting races that we see in this season. And going even further down this season, I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of stuff to really look forward to here. Daytona road course, that's going to be a first that we see. The only other sort of road course we saw was the Charlotte Roval, but even then, Daytona road course is just a whole nother beast. Going back to Michigan after we had a stellar race over there, now going to Nashville, one of the newer tracks, Talladega at a super speedway. Instead of it being in the playoffs, it's going to be in the middle of the regular season, Darlington, Chicago, with that trip before we get to the playoffs. So quite possibly one of the more compelling types, especially since we see Daytona road course here, and we also see Nashville in the part that we had a new track in North Wilkesboro last year, and now this season going to be looking at a short track again at Nashville. Going to be quite possibly one of the most interesting seasons, at least to watch with this schedule for sure, before we get up to the playoffs in the Charlotte Roval. So our caution waves once again as we're going to get into the final stretch of this race. And Charlie, we haven't really seen too much, at least for the battle of the lead. Haven't seen as many green flag runs here as we probably might have wanted or hoped for. But nonetheless, in this final stretch, which driver are you looking at the most that could be that driver to charge up front? Because now we saw Parker White go from the lead all the way back to about 20, I believe 22nd. He's now sitting 20th on the grid. So what kind of situation we're looking at in terms of the drivers here is we have some actually newcomers going to be up in the top block.
Yeah, I'm looking at someone right outside the top 10, actually, Shinji Mantova in that 20 car. He's going to restart 13th on the bottom line, and he was at the lead at one point, so I would definitely not put it out of the picture, him driving back up to the field. But with 15 laps to go, it's definitely kind of a tough task.
We'll just have to see. Also going to be a tough task and an uphill climb for Parker White. Going to be starting 20th all the way to the outside of row number 10. And we'll just see how he's able to carve through the field and if he has enough time to do so. But meanwhile, up front, pace car is off to pit road. Blaze McKinney with an early start, and we're back under green from Phoenix.
Lots of guys fanning out, almost 4 wide once again through the apron there. But just like you see on your screen right now, my eyes are on Parker White to see if he can drive all the way up to the front here. But with just 14 laps to go, I'm not sure if it's possible. Blaze McKinney out front.
Blaze McKinney still up front, had a car and Kadari's save go around, but no yellow on the racetrack. We stay green with 13 laps to go as McKinney tries to hold on to the race lead. Cole Williams trying to fight for second, but meanwhile, look who's back up to third. Nicky Miller, after being through the back of this field, the front, and practically everywhere throughout this field. He's back up to third, though, fighting with Liam Sheen. Look at the move all the way down to the bottom, 3 wide for Parker White. And contact with him in the 20 of Shane Nemantova around on the outside wall. Caution with 12 laps to go. And JJ Hill also getting a piece of that as well. He's around on the racetrack. Once again, just too much for a lot of these drivers to bear through. And that was remarkably close to Parker White. As Demantova went around, started further back through the top 15. And now has damage to his Chevrolet Camaro and the Flying Arrows machine. We'll take another look. See exactly, this was just a lot of cars in this group. Just practically what we've been seeing all night long in this first race. Parker White looked 3 wide as Hill. Actually barely clear before getting in contact with his quarter panel. Going around, and I think had more contact with Glenn Bundren after. There's the initial contact there. I believe the 54 was just trying to slow down to make sure he wasn't in the middle 3 wide, but as soon as he was just trying to back out, it was just a little bit too late before making contact with the 20.
Wow. Well, that is the caution that Parker White needed, because kind of getting a reset here.
Yeah, Parker White was just on the inside of that entire mess. As now Dimantova is going to look to pit road. Everybody else, though, will stay out, including Parker White, who has made his way from 20th on the grid. He's gained 7 spots on that opening lap on the restart to 13th. So he is definitely not out of this just yet, especially if we have more yellows down the stretch. But the time is running out. 10 laps to go. Going to be next time by as McKinney continues to lead this field. And now it's getting very tense here, Charlie. And of course, these are full points. This is going for wins. This is going for these points, and of course for any sort of position that you can gain down the point standings, especially after this race. But the good news is, at least on the double-edged sword on the other side, you have a second race to go to. So you learn from this race, especially if you haven't had a good one. You can enter that second race with a new, fresh head and a lot of things to learn from, and then you can go under the lights with a lot more to work with. And you can actually start working a little bit better and actually probably even perform a lot better than you would in this first race. So for even drivers who maybe missed out on this first one, maybe had some struggles along the way, that second race could provide as kind of that second opportunity, if you will, Charlie, that really isn't going to be showing around through the rest of the season for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. Well, back up front, we didn't see any takers down pit road out of the front, a couple top 10 here, so we're going to go green with less than, I believe, 9 laps to go.
Exactly, we will. Should get the 1 to green as soon as we cross the start-finish line, so that'll be around 7 laps to go until we get to this checkered flag for the first of the 2 races here at Phoenix Raceway. Next time you'll be seeing this racetrack after this one, it'll be under the lights as we go nighttime racing from the desert. We'll have practically most of the same drivers going to make their way in, qualify their way in, and of course we'll have just a little bit of a longer event, 75 laps to bring that second race as opposed to 60 laps on this first one. So we'll definitely have just a little bit more to work with in terms of the laps when we go over on that second race. But we still have yet to conclude this first one, have yet to decide who will be the winner. Question is, will this be the final restart of the evening, or at least for this race? Or will we continue to see more yellows that can easily push us into a green-white checker? The question we'll just have to find out as soon as we get to the rest of this restart and on to the final laps of this race. It'll be Blaze McKinney out to the front, going to lead the field and be in the hands as Cole Williams will follow through in second. Nick Miller, who charges way up to third, will be on that podium spot. Liam Sheen will be fourth at the starting third on that last restart. Trevor Kraus will be in the top 5. First time we see Trevor Kraus up here. Mark Love maintaining himself in the top 10. Aaron Tribble 7th. Ryan Chirico, who got into that last incident, is sitting 8th. Paul Granado 9th. Jonathan T. Jones, who stayed out earlier in this one, will be in this top 10. Off for turn 4. Pace car is off and away. We'll see if this will be the final restart. Green flag once in the air. And Blaze McKinney with a charge into turn 1.
I'm surprised with how well Blaze is doing right now with that right side damage that he sustained earlier in the run. So he's doing pretty well for himself currently out front, but lots of guys jumbling back there. Contact between the 51 and the 55. And oh, one car around.
Chirico around in the front of this field. That could be the biggest wreck we see all night long. 15 of Patterson involved. And I did say that it could just easily end with more yellow flags to push us into a green-white checkered. I definitely was not wrong on that statement. Once again, a yellow involving that 00. We'll take a second look as that 00 was out on the racetrack battling a lot of other drivers. There was Mark Love along the way. You can see the 84 of Aaron Tribble, 16 as well. And actually just got loose off turn 4. And then at that point, just bracing for impact as Patterson, PJ Merrill gets in. Glenn Bundren, oh, so close.
Riley Marabello gets out of this one. And a caution flag again. As we move on. Nobody goes down pit road, however. So I was probably expecting Charlie to see a lot of more drivers head down to that pit lane and get some fresh rubber, but I'm surprised to see that nobody else decided to go down pit road, especially in this lead lap pack. Do you think it could just be so late in this race that they're probably questioning whether they could go down pit road? Because if they do, they could either lose a lot of track position down the stretch and could ruin their race at a chance for a win in this first race.
Yeah, and I doubt that really anyone kind of in the top 5 that if they go down pit road that they'll be able to gain all those spots back within the 5-lap run. So we've kind of crossed that bridge of being able to drive up through the field with a fresh set of tires. So I think, you know, unless the entire field, or at least kind of the back half of the field kind of pits, I don't see a reason for it. So, you know, it's still a smart decision to just kind of wait it up to the end and kind of get through this less than 5-lap run that we get.
We'll easily stretch into less than 5 laps to go as pace car still with its lights on. We'll try to aim for the time when it goes off and we can get our 1 green signal. Try to head over, finish this first race before we step into our second race of the evening. Still got a lot more to cover here on the KBueno Racing Network, though, especially after this first race. We'll have our second event of the evening at Phoenix Raceway right here under the lights in the nighttime setting. So we'll have a cooler track that's definitely going to affect the way a lot of these drivers will handle that one, because you're right now under the sun. It's pretty slick out there. It's a hot track temperature. It's an air temp of about 80 degrees. You can just imagine how hot the track is by itself. And if you look at the track info, actually could just give us our track temp. It's about 103 degrees. So it is relatively blistering down there onto the track surface. And then as soon as we get to that nighttime setting, we'll have it a lot cooler than we do right here under this daylight, right under the blazing sun. And you can tell just how different Phoenix is and just how different the races will be. Just like how the state of Arizona, these places down there in the Southwest, it gets so hot through the daytime. It gets very, very hot, especially over 100 degrees in some cases, more so in the summer. And then all of a sudden you turn over the nighttime and it gets very, very cool. It gets remarkably cooler down there at a place like Phoenix, and that could easily be the difference between maybe any drivers who are doing poorly here today could do a lot better under the lights, or maybe some drivers who are doing good here under the sun could possibly struggle just a little bit under the lights. But when you have just a little more grip, cars will handle a lot differently. Have that 1 green signal though from the pace car, so we will take our green flag with just 3 laps to go. This will be an organic restart. No green, white checkered, but if we are forced down there, we'll take 3 attempts at that. We'll have a restart with 2 laps to go. We'll try to reach our way to the checkered flag. If we get a yellow flag before the white flag is brought out, we'll try it once more. We'll try all the way up to 3 attempts. If we get that white flag, field will be frozen, race will end. Blaze McKinney, defending champion and defending winner Cole Williams to the outside of row number 1. Still have been the same in these past couple of restarts. We'll find out if it changes. Once more, 3 laps to go, and we're green from Texas. Contact between Nick Miller and Liam Sheen. They're around on the front straightaway, already bringing us into a green-white checkered attempt. Huge contact. Keelan Belsha involved, Patterson involved, PJ Merrow. They're around in an entrance of turn 1. All started with what happened up front. Huge wreck.
And that is a lot of cars with damage here.
Wow.
A lot of competitive cars.
That was, we'll take a look, as this was basically just right at the restart. Watch Nick Miller here. Watch Liam Sheen as he's stepping onto the gas pedal. Oh, he just got loose there. Tried to catch the car. Got into Nick Miller. Mark Love, hard contact. Aaron Tribble, Brody Garner. There was more cars involved in that. Keelan Belsha got into that one late. This is right on board with Nick Miller. Is he just trying to hold on, and then all of a sudden gets that hit from behind, and then that was hard contact. It barely even stopped there. Mark Love, Shani Mantova involved. I did say before that it could have been the largest wreck we see all night long in that previous yellow, but this one definitely does take the cake. As Miller now with a blown engine just blew it right off of turn number 4. will go down pit road, and we'll just try to survive from then on. But in all this chaos, look at who this is helping. You imagine Parker White, just a couple of restarts ago, he was 20th, made his way up to 13th, and through the final cautions, and now recently is now in the latter half of this top 10. So it is not over till it's over for Parker White. See if he'll slow down and let some of the drivers by, but in our yellow flag will continue. There's Liam Sheen going down pit road, so actually probably moves Parker White up to 6th, that he'll follow behind Paul Granada, Trevor Kraus, who is now in this 3rd position. Good to see Trevor Kraus here. Only has made just a handful of starts in this series, but he's not really found his way up to the front, so good to see him now in this podium spot at a chance for a top 5. All right. Well, we'll have our green-white checkered attempt. I believe our first one this time. 3 laps to go. Blaze McKinney still at the front, still held his ground, has yet to be challenged under the green flag. But also those yellow flags are helping his case. He's yet to be caught. Those starts, usually going into turn 1, seem to be helping him the most, as we've had the yellows usually in that opening lap or so as we go green. Now our 1 to green signal will most likely come out. So McKinney will just have to hold on against the defending winner. And what a win this could be, obviously, for Blaze McKinney. Charlie, coming off that championship at this very racetrack. Did not pick up the win, but was good enough to finish ahead of the other championship contenders. Did come short of the race win, but to set a race after Daytona, which was tough, he finished further back in the top 20. To hold on to win here tonight, Charlie, would probably mean huge success and huge momentum for that 87 camp going into the rest of this season, where he was dominant last season.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a really relieving win, as you know, he just fell. He came up short in last week's Daytona 200, but we'll see if we can do it here. We're going to have 2 more laps to decide our winner.
2 laps to decide our winner. Blaze McKinney already up to the front of this field. We're back under green from Phoenix Raceway. Here comes a charge, though, from everybody down to the inside. Trevor Kraus is going to look under Cole Williams. Here comes Parker White as they're crashing behind. Yellow flag on our 2nd attempt will come very shortly, as another wreck will bring us out under the yellow flag. We'll try to find out exactly who that might have been that was involved in that wreck. We'll take a look at a replay. I think King LaBusha saw a good chunk of what happened here. Actually started there with that 72 machine. That was Aiden Murray, the 36. Went around here. This is entrance turn 1. There with Glenn Bundren. JJ Hill makes a dive, but then it checked up there. And I went 3 wide last second. And then Murray gets caught up into it. He's the only driver to spin around here. Was just looking at it in the background as White was looking for position, as they were almost 3 wide for that podium spot. And nobody going to go down pit road. So everyone's staying out once again. Our 2nd attempt will come up very shortly, but Charlie, I guess now it's just been a lot of cautions. I said there will probably be 6 combined with the first race and the 2nd race. I think I've been very off on that projection.
Yeah, I'm probably the cleanest cars. I'm looking around the field right now. The cleanest cars out here are probably Parker White. I want to say Riley Marabello in that number 92 car, with impressively clean runs here tonight.
Yeah, that's a clean race car for the 92. Unfortunately, it's stuck back in 16th, so he has a lot more of work cut out for him if he wants to start getting through. And
can see just how much damage everybody else has compared to the likes of Parker White. I believe the 4 of Jonathan T. Jones, oh no, actually he does have damage to the rear end. Almost looked like Paul Granada was free of damage, but does have a little there to the left rear of that race car. It is hard to find a clean race car on these tracks. It's been just a short track marathon of lots of beating and banging, lots of wall contact, lots of contact with other drivers. It's been one so far as we're going to get another green-white checkered attempt. Again, going to reset the 3 laps to go. We'll have our move. But right now, before we go green, we're going to look at our race summary presented by Supermix. Right now, your leader is that 87 of Blaze McKinney, has held it from these past couple of restarts, has been able to maintain it. All those yellows, though, have been seeming to freeze the field every now and then, so that 87 has stayed up to the front of this field. We've completed 65 laps. We only have 3 remaining. We're going into our overtime section. We've had 5 lead changes since the drop of the green flag. We have had 10 yellow flags in this first race alone. McKinney is going to kind of fake out there on pit road, I guess, trying to make everyone else head down pit road, lose some track position. But it won't work for anyone else behind him, as we will gather it up once more. We'll try to pick up everything back up together. We'll piece everything back as we are going to go 1 to green now, as the pace car has its lights off. It'll go off of turn 4. We'll take our second attempt. If we get another yellow before we reach the white flag, the race will move on to a 3rd attempt at a green-white checkered. If we go after 3 attempts, the field will end under yellow. Race will end under yellow. Leader and field will be frozen. But if we reach the white flag, anything can happen. You can start wrecking in the middle of the white flag lap, and it still won't matter. It'll still be a race all the way to the checkered flag and the start-finish line there on the straightaway. Obviously different from the real-life configuration, in which it still hasn't been moved yet, but nonetheless, still be a very intense battle. McKinney going to try to hold on, but Williams still holding second. Kraus, White into this second row. Pace car is down at pit road. We are back under green. What could be the final attempt of this race.
Still smooth sailing as of right now. We got a bit of a 3-car breakaway. But Paul Granada, 3 wide for the 4th position. Paul Granada to the inside.
Paul Granada going to try to make the move. He's still well, as they're still 3 wide. But as they're coming off turn 4, there's the 3rd attempt, as we got another yellow involving the drivers in the top 5. Granada, Kraus, Jones involved, as Brody Garner's going into the pit lane backwards. I guess that's a creative way to put it. You go into your pit stall, but another yellow starts with a 3 wide action, as Granada tried to make an aggressive move through the middle 3 wide. It seemed to have worked for just a moment before.
There were actually 2 separate wrecks here, one including that Paul Granada, the one that Paul Granada initiated, but there was also one caused by Liam Sheen back in turn number 3.
Oh, and here's one with Kadarius Tabe. There's Brody Garner. That's the reason he was going backwards on pit road. And that actually started with the entrance into turn 3. Right into the back, and you could just see everyone practically stuck with damage. You see right there, gets into the 22 on the braking zone. And there was one of those clean cars that did not have damage, now with damage. That 92 of Marabello, as Sheen got involved in that. And again, another yellow to bring us out. Man, this has not let up. Our 3rd attempt will be coming up very shortly. It's been these 2 attempts. We're going to have this final one to settle it. And probably was not expecting this, but at least with the chaos that we've seen in this first race, Charlie, do you think for any sort of case in the imagination that the drivers seeing what's happening in this first race could take that over to the second race, and it could provide a cleaner route, or it could be just a different race in its entirety where we could see less incidents and possibly the drivers kind of keeping themselves a little bit cleaner, organizing with each other as they've learned what it's like in this first race?
Yeah, and also carrying over into the second race is kind of the tempers that are kind of flaying right now. A lot of guys upset with each other, and some of those guys saying they're not even going to show up to the next race. So You know, obviously, it's going to transfer a lot of stuff kind of into a night setting.
We'll just have to see. We'll see if the temperature continues to boil over. We'll see if anything starts to rise even further, or if it'll tame just a little bit. And we're still down a 2 to green. Blaze McKinney still in this lead, and he still remarkably kept his charge. But looking into this final restart, what could be the final one if we do not get a yellow from here on out. Remember, if we get a yellow, our third attempt will be evaporated and the field will be frozen. And if Blaze McKinney stays as the leader, he will be considered the winner here at Phoenix for the first of the 2 races in this doubleheader in the desert. However, looking for the driver who came back from 20th earlier in this race, Parker White was starting mostly on the outside for a lot of these restarts. He's 3rd. So he'll be most likely behind McKinney if he chooses that inside lane. And he will be at a chance to go under Cole Williams for 2nd and possibly have a shot at a race win. You see them now filing in. McKinney will actually decide to choose the bottom. Cole Williams will be forced to the top, and Parker White will have a shot on the inside. Quick thoughts before we go green?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be a wild one for sure. But if I had to pick one driver, I truly believe that Blaze McKinney will be able to pull away and take this one. But, you know, like the other green white checkered attempts, we're already past the lap count that would be in our second race, 70. So it's going to be a wild one for sure. It's definitely going to be a toss-up is all I got to say. So I'll just sit back and watch, and we'll just see what happens.
We'll definitely see what happens. Coming off turn 4, Blaze McKinney, though, going to get an extra reassurance for that jump up front. We are green flag racing as Parker going to look for 2nd down to the bottom. We'll see if we able to reach around to the white flag. So far, no incidents as they're side by side behind McKinney on the back straightaway.
Furthest we've made it out of the 3 out of the green white checkered attempts we've made so far. But coming into turns 3 and 4, Parker White and Cole Williams jostling for that 2nd position, trying to be the first guy to be able to catch up to the 87 of Blaze McKinney, but still even as of right now. Blaze McKinney takes the white flag.
White flag in the air, no more attempts as we will go all the way to the checkered flag. There's contact for 2nd between White and Cole Williams. Here comes Aiden Kirk, going to look for 3rd. They're almost 3 wide as Bundren's going to look for this top 5. Wallerman also in the charge as well, but all up front, it is clear blue skies for Blaze McKinney off of turn number 4. Blaze McKinney is going to defend his title and actually win his first race of this season in Season 3 with a win at Phoenix Raceway in the first of the doubleheaders.
Just like you said, he got that good car restart that he needed, was able to pull away by an extra few car lengths while they were side by side for 2nd place, and was able to take the win. Good win to Blaze McKinney there.
Deserving one for sure. There's Glenn Bundren, friend. Gonna give him some congratulations. Parker White, hard fought to finish 4th after the contact with Cole Williams there, as McKinney will finally end this race on top. And after winning the title last season at this very track without a checkered flag in hand, he's going to walk away with a checkered flag in this one. His first win of this season comes here. And after all those worries saying that he was fearing that he was going to be slower than the competition, it turns out, even with the damage, that little early contact with Dylan Basin to start this race did not faze him whatsoever. He takes the win. And he'll celebrate right in front of the wall, right in front of his virtual pit crew, and of course the virtual fans, as we finally come to a conclusion in this race after 3 green-white checkered attempts. Going to look at our unofficial results for race 1 of this doubleheader. We'll start with Blaze McKinney at the front of this field. Going to take his first win of the season, as Cole Williams will come home in 2nd, just short. Aiden Kirker will finish in 3rd, so iMedia Racing will take over 2nd and 3rd. Parker White, who was battling for 2nd there on that massive comeback, and all those restarts, will survive to finish 4th. Glenn Bundren, though, revives for a top 5. So, again, a top 5 at Daytona, a top 5 to bring one once more at Phoenix. So, 2 straight top 5s for him. Brady Wallerman will come home in 6th. Josh Patterson will finish 2 seconds back in 7th. PJ Merrill will finish in 8th. Cole Woody 9th. Jonathan Jones brings out this top 10.
Right outside the top 10, J.J. Hale with a consistent run, one of the cleanest cars in the race. Down to the finish line, finishes 11th. Aiden Murray, 12th. Caleb Elsha, 13th. Paul Granado, 14th. Trevor Krause, 15th. Kadarius Taves, 16th. Riley Marabello, 17th. And starting your cars that are one or more laps down, Liam Sheen, 18th. Nick Miller, 19th. Aaron Tribble will round out your top 20.
20th, 21st on back, Mark Love. After those hard contact crashes, he finished 21st. Shani Mantova was looking promising early in this race, but a wreck that he got caught up in will land him in 26th. Brian Chirico, after 2 incidents, will be 23rd. Aaron Maroney, 38 laps down in 24th. Bridger Olsen, defending 200 winner in the winner last week, will finish in 25th. Kiloa Hankins actually entered this race. He'll finish in 26th. Dylan Basin with early contact and a crash will come 27th. William Schmidt with that crash also as well, 28th. Noah Allison, 29th. Dane Cruz will round out this top 30 in the 46.
31st, Mark Frimpong, 73 laps down. Brody Garner, 32nd. Sartaj Mann, 33rd. Francisco Bacalao, 34th. Cody Webster, 35th. Andy McDowell, 36th. Corey Hart's, 37th. Joseph Costello, I'm not sure if I saw these guys even start the race, but 38th. Quinton Warman, 39th. And rounding out your field tonight, Thomas Lloyd, 40th place.
So those are all the 40 cars that finished, and some of them actually just did register. We're not able to make the green flag, and most of those in the tail end of that top 40. But nonetheless, we're going to be looking over to Victory Lane, where driver Blaze McKinney is celebrating there as he takes his first win of the Bundren Lawn Care Series season. We'll bring him in. Blaze. Actually, no, this is Glenn. We'll bring Glenn back in. Glenn, you will get an interview shortly, but back to Victory Lane. I guess joining Blaze McKinney, celebrating with his fellow friend. Blaze, you came into last season in Victory Lane. You managed to a top 5. No win, though. It was a championship, but you come back to Phoenix Raceway with a head of steam. You take your first win in this season. Just tell us what this means for you and walk us through your perspective in those final restarts.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that because in the season finale last year, I was really bad here. I wasn't happy with how we ran, but I changed some stuff this time, and I think it worked. I think that race was just about track position, and I just worked out the strategy good enough to get out front there at the end, and then we just had a good enough car to hold off some guys on them restarts because those were stressful. Like, I was just sick of having to deal with those restarts every, 2 laps, and I was just hoping we could get a green flag running, but I'm happy we got the win. It's good momentum for the rest of the season, and hopefully we can pick up win number 2 here in a little bit.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously the win number 2. Obviously, I know it was a stressful one of the finish since you had all those restarts. You were getting those starts up there. I know Cole Williams and Parker White were also trying to make their charge to you. But in terms of now looking to the future and just a little bit when we go over to the second race in this doubleheader, going to be under the lights this time. We have seen you perform under the lights, and of course, obviously with this win, going to go into that second race with a lot of momentum to your side. What is going to be that game plan or that mindset? What's going to be really looking forward to you in this second race under the lights as you try to defend your win with another one in this doubleheader?
Yeah, hopefully we can qualify up front and stay up there. I know this race was it wasn't the cleanest race for us. We got in a little trouble with base in there in the first couple laps, and I had to fix my damage. Car was actually pretty beat up most of the race, but hopefully we can just stay a little bit cleaner in the next one and just have a consistent race, and hopefully everybody races a little bit cleaner because I kind of want to have a little bit of a cleaner race with less cautions, and hopefully we'll have a lot of fun. Nighttime is always fun at Phoenix, so hopefully we can pull it off.
All right, Blaze, well, just before we let you go celebrate this first win and strap over yourself into race number 2, before we let you go, which people, sponsors, teams, or really anyone else you just like to give your thanks to for this win?
Yeah, especially Grace and all the guys at Flying Arrows for having me on. Glad to get another win for them. I got a red line win the other day, so we're on a good roll with them, and hopefully we can continue that roll throughout the next couple weeks and races. So happy to get a win for them, and of course Chris for putting these beautiful cars on the track for me and sponsoring me each and every week. And just to Glenn and all the admins out there, all of us to put this league on every week. I'm really glad we got it started back up again for season 2. Can't wait for the rest of the season.
All right, Blaze, well, we'll let you strap yourself up and go for race number 2 in just about 20 minutes time when we go at 8 p.m. Eastern. Congratulations on your win, and we'll just see what you can do over in race 2.
Yeah, thank you.
Blaze McKinney, your winner here from Phoenix in race number 1 of this doubleheader. Going to look back to second. Cole Williams will find himself just short of the race win after winning in the last race of the season in season number 2. He is down pit road, trackside with Charlie Baier.
Hey, Glenn, you got a copy? That's not Glenn. That's Cole Williams. Glenn, back into the booth here. Another mistake. Glenn, you got a copy?
This time I do, yeah.
Well, Glenn, an abrasive race for sure. Wait, hold on. Cole Williams, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Cole, an abrasive race for sure, but you rounded yourself out second with a bunch of green-white checkered attempts there. What was the strategy throughout the race, and how'd you survive?
It was crazy. I feel like I just wish we would have got some running in because, that would have definitely helped my chances. I felt like at the start I was just trying to save a little too much and trying just to relax just a little too much, and it, bit me towards the end, and I completely threw away, probably knowing how this race ended up going, the race win by spinning the tires on that start, almost killing the field, and then a lap later Parker getting spun. So I'm sorry to the field for, causing that checkup on one of those restarts. I don't know why I chose the outside. That's a dumb decision. But we had the first race for a reason. We get to learn, and hopefully the night race will be a little bit better. Of course, we used all 3 movement checkers, and just I don't know how people can't keep it straight. More than a lap, under 10-20 to go. I don't know what changes, but oh well. P2, nothing to be ashamed of at all.
All right, we'll talk about the night race that's coming up here shortly, just 10 more laps than the day race. But what can you kind of transfer or kind of transition into the night setting here, kind of using that experience that you learned from the car sighting around today?
Yeah, I definitely, this track really just teaches you a lot of car control. I feel like, I'm pretty solid at this track. I've loved this track for a long time, and it always seems like it's me and Blaze at the end of these things. And I wish, of course, Parker accidentally got into me there, but there was no way I was going to run Blaze down anyway in one lap. But I feel like if it was like a 10-lap run there, and maybe somehow I outsave him or something in the last 10 laps and drove him back down, we could have another crazy good battle. But I know people like Liam and Nick, on that restart where Liam spun the tires, and there was a big wreck that took out a lot of the really, really fast guys up here too. So I feel like the second one might have maybe a little bit of a different field. I feel like some guys might not show up because they're just upset or whatnot, but guys that also got disqualified for their fast repair or whatever will try to come back for some redemption. But I feel like the track will have a lot more grip. I don't know if we're going to use the open setup or whatever again, but I like the setup a little bit better. It's a little more grip, but also tire saving comes into it a little bit more. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens, in a matter of 15 minutes when the session goes up.
Alrighty, well, yeah, just 15 minutes till race number 2. We'll go ahead and send you off and hope to see another interview from you again after that race tonight. But before we let you go, do you have any teams or anyone that you'd like to thank for making this race 1 run possible?
Yep. Thank you, Media Racing, once again for putting another fast Toyota Camry out there. Definitely had the pace for an upfront finish, if not maybe the win today, at least in this one. I just want to thank you guys, of course, for putting this on again, the broadcast, dealing with, of course, I know in the race chat you were active, making sure people were not putting on their fast repairs and stuff, and of course some people just did it anyway. But I just want to thank you guys, especially you, Charlie, for going through the stresses of reviewing those fast repair things. I just want to thank the sponsors of Pellet Gaming, of course, these custom diecast and Stealth Energy for coming on and supporting us.
All right, Glenn, we'll see you there, man. Cole, we'll see you there, man. Good luck. Cole Williams, 3rd place. 2nd place, Jesus.
Cole Williams finishing from 2nd here in this first of the 2 doubleheader races here at Phoenix. Going to kick back over to our podium spot, our final step of the podium, where we catch up with the number 39 of Aiden Kirk. Actually survived to get by Parker White in those final laps. Aiden, I know those final laps, and especially those restarts, not only for, like we said with a couple of the drivers, were just very stressful. I'm sure it was very stressful over behind the wheel on your end, behind that number 39 machine, but you do survive. You did catch up a little damage early in this race, but all of a sudden you find yourself in the right spot at the right time. There's contact between White and Williams, and all of a sudden you shoot yourself to a podium spot. Just walk us through what was really going on behind the wheel, what your thought was, and what your really mindset was in order to attack these restarts altogether to come to finish 3rd.
Just let the faster guys kind of slice their way through the field and then follow them up. My car was down on power. The steering was a little damaged, so I don't know how that car got back to 3rd place, even with a little bit of luck. That car's ready for the junkyard for sure. But just trying to stay patient, follow people through, not get any more wrecks, get more damage, and luckily came home with a third place.
Definitely a third place effort for you, and of course, it certainly would feel a lot better after what happened in the 200, where you were kind of there in the field. You were just close to the win. Obviously, you fell a little bit back to the field, but coming through this first race now, and of course going into the second of the doubleheader here in just I believe about 14 minutes time, what's going to be the best thing for you? Do you think there will be any benefits now that will be under the lights as opposed to under the blazing sun?
Yeah, I tend to actually favor Phoenix at night. I think it definitely I had more laps at night, and I feel like I'm faster there. So it's gonna be a little bit easier to drive, I think, than what we just had. So maybe a little less cautions. It could cause more cautions. You never know. But I think it's gonna be pretty fun. It's definitely nice to rebound to a third place. I know Daytona was still a top 10, but it's kind of painful to fall back from the pack. But I mean, 8th and 3rd to start off the season, pretty good. I think we're tied to the points lead with Glenn right now, so that's always a good way to start off the season. But I'm excited to get going here in a couple minutes.
All right, well, we'll let you go and prep yourself over and get your mind set for this next race in about 13 minutes' time. Aiden, before we let you go, is there any sponsors, teams, or just anyone you'd just like to give your shout-outs to for this podium effort?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to thank Eel Media Racing and our sponsors, Appella Gaming, Z's Custom Diecast, and Stealth Energy. Always a pleasure to have them on our cars, and hopefully we can go get a win here soon.
All right, Aiden. Well, of course, congratulations on your third place finish here in this first of the two doubleheaders. We look forward to what you can do over in this second race. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Aiden Kirker will come home in this first race from the third spot. We're going to kick back to fourth as Charlie is just a little bit busy with something's going down on a pit road. We'll bring Parker White in, who was just short of the race win, fell back to fourth, and that's where he finished and where he actually started on the grid. We're bringing Parker in, and Parker, just a unbelievable run to the finish. I think it was just a hard-fought effort for you in that 95. You guys were up front. You guys led a good portion of this race. Then all of a sudden, there's contact between you and Brody Garner, sending you spinning up the track. Luckily, no damage. And then you carve your way all the way to a fourth place finish here in this first race. Just give us your expectations into this one, your thoughts during those moments.
Yeah, I was trying to play this race out how I did the LWRC race here a few weeks ago. But when I loaded into the session, I noticed it was on a different setup. So I turned a few laps and it felt different on throttle, and it was actually a lot better. So I knew I'd be able to be more aggressive, which it suited my driving style better. So we qualified pretty good. I think P4. We fell back to 6th, then immediately got up to the lead, I'm pretty sure. I don't really remember. We led some laps, then on a pit stop, I overshot my box a little. That put me back to 6th, I'm pretty sure, or 5th, I don't know. And then I got spun, and at that point, my goal was just like a top 10 or something. And I avoided, I think, 2 or 3 wrecks back there. And I got up to, I think, 5th or so on those final restarts. And then I was able to find my way into 3rd on the final one. And then on the last lap, I was just focused on getting up to that 87 car because he was so fast. And then just overshot turn 1 a little bit. And I had to tell Cole on the iRacing voice chat to look out because there's no way I was going to slow that car down. I was trying to get it slowed down, but just wouldn't slow down. Well, luckily, it didn't take out him. So I'm just really happy to get P4 here today.
And of course, we mentioned early in the broadcast your success in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series right at this very venue, especially in this exact conditions. But moving over to the nighttime, there's going to be a little more grip. You're going to be under the lights, and of course, things will probably get different depending on just how we'll see it. What are your initial thoughts, and what is your kind of mindset? What are you going to attack the nighttime into as opposed to what you did in this daytime?
I'm just going to take my driving style that I used here and make it more aggressive. So I'm pretty sure you guys should watch out for me because I'm going to be pretty fast here tonight because we had a really fast car here in the day. So as the night falls and the track gets more grippy, I think we'll have a really fast car.
All right, Parker, well, before we let you go on this P4 effort and before we actually go racing in about 9 minutes' time, which people do you got to thank? Any team sponsors or just anyone you just like to give your love and shout out to before sending you off here?
Yeah, I've got to thank my team, McGrath Sim Sport. They have some amazing cars here. They gave me an amazing car here today. It was lightning fast. And a few sponsors, Bundren Lawn Care, of course, the sponsor of this series, and Elo Media, and of course you guys at KBRN for all the broadcasts.
Certainly appreciate the time, Parker. Congratulations on your P4 finish. So obviously we look forward to seeing what you can do. A very aggressive, I guess, mindset going into this second race. Good luck.
All right, thank you. See you in a little bit.
Parker White comes home in this first race from 4th. I think that we're going to be watching out for him going into the second race, so we'll surely keep an eye on him, and we'll keep our eyes peeled. We're going to look to our final interview of this first race, and we'll actually look over to the Grassman himself. Finally, Glenn Bundren was celebrating with Blaze McKinney there in victory lane for just a little bit. Going to get a word with him finally now in the race booth. And Glenn, now finally for sure going to bring you in the booth. And I'm sure you're
Are you
kind
sure?
of confused there.
Sure?
Yes, very sure.
Okay.
We are sure to bring you in. We just had a little bit of mistakes there, but Glenn, you survived for 5th, and actually quite possibly a very consistent effort for you in that 37, and especially coming off a top 5 finish in the 200 at Daytona last week. You come home in this first race, top 5 again. What's really the key part of these top 5 finishes for you so far in the opening runs of the season?
Hey, I just send it every time like there's like 20 to go, man. I'm pedal to the metal, man. I send it. We kind of got lucky there with them wrecks, and had to try to avoid them though. But this all in all, you there's a lot of luck and there's a lot of skill, and I got the most luck right now on my shoulders right now.
Well, certainly things are falling in your favor. The chips are falling as they may to your favor in this 37. And you know, you started in this field 18th, so you started pretty far down the grid, and obviously you picked that all up. There was a lot of chaos, I know, where especially there was a dogfight, Hornet's Nest all the way through the midfield. What was really that perspective from behind the wheel as everybody was circling around you? You were pretty much 3 wide, 2 wide a good portion of this race.
Gotta make good adjustments with your wheel, man. I was 3 wide most of the race. It reminded me of the ice car race last night where we were 3 and 4 wide basically all night. So that kind of helped me with tonight with being with ice car last night. So just again, this luck. I don't know. I should have been wrecked 3 or 4 times and I wasn't. So I mean, what can you say? You know, you really can't say nothing. Just how lucky I was.
And of course, things are falling into your favor again because you are now, after this first race, you are considered the points leader now. So definitely those finishes are working to your favor, Glenn. Before we let you go to set side on this second race and work over the nighttime, which people do you got to thank? Teams, sponsors, of course, anyone you just like to give your shout outs to before we send you off for the second race?
Well, obviously, I got to thank Bundren Lawn Care. Cutting grass, mowing. My dad, he's actually watching right now. He gave me a big pat on the back whenever he saw I finished 5th, and you guys too, and you guys make this series possible.
All right, Glenn. Well, of course, a shout out to your dad watching the broadcast. Hope he's enjoying every single moment of the action. Glenn, we appreciate the time, and of course, congratulations on your top 5 finish, and we're excited to see what you can pull over down in the second race in the nighttime.
I'm excited. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Charlie, too.
Glenn Bundren, league owner himself, Grassman, going to be finished in P5 in this first race. Already got about 6 minutes to go until this second race in the doubleheader here at Phoenix Raceway. And what a wild first race this was to begin. And this was, of course, our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. We're not going to go away just yet. We won't be officially ending this live. We'll actually just take a little break before we head over to that second moment and go into the second race. Get our heads fresh and set for 75 laps from the Phoenix Raceway. Of course, Charlie a little bit busy now, so we'll bring over him later once we get into this second race. But we'll just take a short break, and we'll be right back for the second race at about 8:20 p.m. Eastern. You're watching the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series Phoenix doubleheader right here on the KBueno Racing Network.
Welcome back to coverage of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series race number 2, the Phoenix Doubleheader, live from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. This time, if you notice, we are under the lights, and we'll be taking our second trip around here in the desert in the nighttime, as opposed to our first race, which concluded in the daytime. And as always, back in the booth with Charlie Baier alongside. My name is Kenneth Bueno, and Charlie had our first race of the evening. Started about roughly 6:45 p.m. Eastern, now approaching our second race at about 8:30, and coming now into the qualifying session as everyone's starting to get their way through. We saw the chaos and everything that have effectively happened in that first race. What are your expectations now going to be going into the second race as the drivers start to learn their way through?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a really big difference on the racetrack, especially with the change in time of day. Obviously, an experienced racer would know that when the sun goes down, the temps cool down as well. So there's going to be a lot more grip that comes along. And as we've seen, the cars just struggling for grip throughout the first race. So it's definitely going to play a really big difference. And I can't wait to see how these guys take on.
Definitely going to be an interesting thing to see how this entirely moves forward. Right now, just about 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in this qualifying session. And you got a couple drivers already putting their laps in and seeing so far what we have by each of the drivers, and you see some of them already on this. So this is Mark Love, who finished back in the, I believe, back in the top 20, or the top 25 in that last race. Going to look for a better one. Here's Shani Mantoba, who also had a rough run in that first one, and try and reset this second time around. And that's also going to be another topic of conversation, Charlie, is the second opportunity effort, something you don't really get a lot in a lot of other races, but in a doubleheader, you have that opportunity to learn from the first event, and then you can transfer everything else into that second event and be a lot better. Even some examples like Parker White, when we interviewed him at the end of the first race, he said in this second race, he's going to be basically the same driving style that he kind of put in that first race, but with a lot more aggressivity. He's going to be a lot more aggressive this time around. Some drivers are going to be changing their styles. Do you think we'll see a very different type of style of racing that we saw in that first race now that we have some extra grip, and now that the drivers have already learned from this first race from 60 laps going to 75?
Yeah, and it definitely helps to have that first race to kind of get a feel of what you're kind of playing around with. And obviously the higher grips does a lot for fighting that track, and especially on corner races, trying to get it to fire off correctly without spinning the tires or having to keep it correct. Obviously it's not totally fixed, but it definitely helps your case in keeping the car clean. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot easier of a race tonight for some of these guys, and maybe we can get that long green flag run that we were talking about in the last race.
Hopefully going to try to see our long green flag runs, hopefully, if they can emerge out of the fold in this second race. Going to take a refresher, of course. We went to Phoenix in that first race. We're still over here at Phoenix, but here's a better look at it with our KBRN Track Map with images provided by Google Earth. Going to take a look all the way into the desert onto the Phoenix Raceway. 1 mile around this racetrack of 4 turns. You got banking over in some degrees, over about 9 degrees in turns number 3 and 4, as opposed to just a little bit larger at about turn 1 and 2 by just a couple of degrees. And obviously still one of the most interesting tracks that we visited on the schedule. And just to refer back, we did visit this track in the championship race just last season and just a couple of months back, where we saw Blaze McKinney take over the title. We saw earlier today Blaze McKinney take over the first race and win in a green-white checkered thriller, which had a lot of things happening all at once, and we were trying to find out what was just going to happen. We got about 15 seconds, and now as practice draws to a close, we're going to be taking our time to go through the grid as very shortly, and we'll see everybody take their chances all the way down behind the iRacing pace car. We'll see where each and every driver finishes. You see just a look at a glimpse of what the grid is looking like, and now as the time ticks down to 0, we'll look at our qualifying order for race number 2 of this stint in the Phoenix doubleheader. Look at our grid. Pole time goes to Parker White, the number 95, finished 4th in the first race. Going to start here from first with a 26.603 under the lights. He'll start right alongside 3rd place finish in that first race, Aiden Kirker.
Row number 2 sees Cole Williams at number 82 car finishes 2nd in the last race, which was outside Riley Mirabello, who is one of the cleanest cars last race, starting 4th at a run at row number 2.
Row number 3 will be defending winner in this Phoenix doubleheader, Blaze McKinney. After winning the first race, he'll start in this one tonight from 5th. Jonathan T. Jones will round out here in 6th in row number 3 as well, alongside.
Row number 4 sees Mark Love on the inside, had a shot to win the Daytona 200, but still looking for redemption here into his outside Air Maroney Jr. And that number 2 car will round out your top 4.
Back to row number 5. Francisco Bacallao has a better qualifying effort this time around. He'll start tonight from 9th place. So right alongside him, a fellow friend and, of course, Flying Arrows driver Shane DiMantova will start from 10.
Row number 6 sees Aaron Tribble, that number 84 car, starting 11th, right outside the top 10. Glenn Bundren, last season's Final Four contender, will start 12th out of row number 6.
Gonna look at the rest of the grid. There's Kadarius Tabe. Nick Miller will start from 14th in row number 7. Brady Wallam and Sartaj Mon, row number 8. Even looking further back, seeing some drivers who were up through this field. Trevor Kraus in those final restarts, he was also there as well. Gonna look at Aiden Murray. Sammy Yahya making his first start in the Bundren Lawn Care Series after missing out on the 200 in the LCQ. He finds his way in this race. Kilo Hankins, good to see him back on track. He'll start row number 11. Kevin White gonna look at the rest of this field. Down to Josh Patterson. Everybody all throughout to, I believe, 26 cars or even more in this race here at Phoenix Raceway. Going to take a look at our first couple of rows as you see Parker White in his Bundren machine going to start from first. Aiden Kirk are going to be in the outside in row number 1. In second off turn 4. Pace truck is down to the safety of pit road, and we are green flag racing from Phoenix in our second race.
Already shuffling all the way into the inside wall back there, but Parker White will lead the way into turn number 1. Those two Il Media Racing drivers. Turning 4th, cars around in the back.
The car around in the back, hopefully no yellow flag. We're going to look a little bit further as there are a lot of drivers in this group making their way. And oh boy, everyone looking up to the outside wall. We got a caution on lap number 1. We'll see who this involves. Might have been Aiden Murray caught up in this. Keelan Belsha. Maybe what's actually has no damage, so he was not involved. There's Brayson Collins, had a smack to the outside wall. We'll take a look at a replay, see what may have happened here with the drivers a little bit further back behind. See if we can find any of these drivers up here. Oh, there's the driver around. That's actually Aiden Murray in that 36.
Oh my word. That was pretty insane. Francisco Bacallao went into the inside, comes across the track. Oh my goodness.
Oh, and huge contact there. Unfortunately, couldn't get the rest of that look. William Schmidt also got involved there as well. And now he's down pit road. Francisco got loose, tried to merge his way back on the racetrack, but it is just so tough with that dog leg. Finished P27 after a disqualification in the first race of a mishap down pit road. He's now going to be practically out of this race. No faster grades given to these drivers in both races, so definitely going to have to spend a while down pit road getting his stuff fixed around. You see Kilo Hankins, he ended up starting down pit road, but easy for him. He's going to have another quick yellow to go back on this lead lap, find his way with the rest of the field, trying to make a case for himself in this race. But so far, still Parker White up to the front, relatively unchanged for the rest of everybody in this group so far. Just a reminder that if you're down in the YouTube chat and you want to take a moment to ask anything you like and join the conversation with us up in the booth, you can do so by using hashtag AskKBRN. You can put your question followed by that hashtag AskKBRN. You could ask anything you like to us, of course, within appropriate reasons. We'll be sure to answer it just as soon as you said it. That's hashtag AskKBRN for anything you want to ask. So already on the same foot, we reached over, Charlie, especially in our first race where we had a yellow in lap number 1. Had already a lot of yellows to span over that race. And it's easy to say that it's continuing now through the first opening stage of this race on a caution lap number 1.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just that one car that just kind of had a mishap that caused the first yellows in both races. So everyone looked pretty smooth, taking going down the back straightaway. So hopefully that's no representation of what the rest of the race is going to be like.
Hopefully we'll end up seeing some long green flag runs going further in this race, as it looks like we'll probably get the 1 to green signal this time as the pace truck moves around. Actually, a difference between that first race and
especially that the second race here, we changed pace cars. So I guess the officials decided to change the vehicle of notice all up in front of the rest of this field. We had the iRacing Ford Mustang. Now we're up to the iRacing pace truck. So good to see a little bit of a change there. I guess the officials wanted to think about that. I got Glenn Bundren. Actually, I believe that's a second account. Glenn Bundren said, going to get that W. Obviously, Glenn Bundren finished 5th. Another account by the name of Glenn Bundren said, KBRN, great job on the broadcast. Go get him. JR37 Blaze, go get him. So, I guess some support there. Some support there. Of course, to Glenn Bundren, who's currently in the outside of row number 5. Right on the outside of, actually, Blaze McKinney. So, that's probably the best placement you can have of them both on the racetrack, right next to each other in the same row. But meanwhile, we're going to go back under green flag racing. At turn 3 and 4, iRacing pace truck will make its way out of the way. We'll take our moment to clear ourselves. And Parker White, Aiden Kirker will try this once more. Out of turn number 4, we're back under green from Phoenix.
Looking clean as of right now. A lot of these guys just starting to fan out, but how about that number 92 of Riley Marabello, currently fighting for the 3rd spot up the racetrack side by side with Cole Williams. We got another yellow flag.
Another yellow flag. I believe it was Aaron Tribble this time around. Actually, no, there's Parker Collins around. I saw a white Chevrolet Camaro going around just in the entrance in the middle of turn 3 and 4. Not sure exactly who that was. I think we'll just take another look. Just saw somebody barreling and spinning down that section. Take our moment, see if we can end up finding out who exactly this was. We'll take a look our way from... Actually, there it was right there, just in front of turn number 3. As they were looking over, we're going to take a look. Here's Aiden Murray, who was involved in that first incident. Actually had a view of this second one here. There's Parker Collins. Saw one driver down there. It was Aaron Tribble, actually.
Yeah, it's those two. Looks like, oh my word.
Wow.
It's hooked dead right into the outside of the wall.
It's contact between himself and Trevor Krause entering turn 3. Hard hit to the outside wall going down the track. Parker Collins also was, I believe, just trying to slow down for the incident. Again, our second yellow flag early on to start this one. Got a question by Racing Spino number 90. He asked, is there a Discord? Yes, there is. We actually put the link a little bit earlier, so you can scroll up. It was posted by myself, Kenneth Bueno. Put the exact copy link, I believe, or maybe they have taken it down. But nonetheless, we can still provide a Discord link, give you access to everything, I guess, in the Bundren Lawn Care Series. And if you are interested in racing, get everything set up with owner Glenn Bundren, all the admins that worked so hard to make these races possible and to officiate every single thing going on. But Charlie, you did mention Riley Marabello, and what a standout effort already in this race, and had sort of a standout promising effort in that first race before getting sent back through the field and unfortunately being involved in some incidents. He was one of the cleanest cars in this entire field in that first race when we reached the checkered flag. So it is good to see him now on a valiant qualifying effort and now sitting in 3rd after getting by Cole Williams.
Yeah, one of the drivers that's racing for the... I can remember the name correctly. Airborne Performance Racing, is that the name?
I believe so, yes. That is run by owner Sammy Yahya, who's currently sitting in 17th, running a Richmar Flores Ford Mustang, and he's the owner of that team. Bought the assets of what was Peak Performance Motorsports. Bought that team, renamed it to Airborne, and now they have a fully new team under the belt with a couple of drivers. I believe Jonathan T. Jones, also a member of that team. Obviously, Riley Marabello, also in that group as well. They are making their first debuts as a team. They did it in the Daytona 200 just last week, but unfortunately, some of the drivers did miss out on the LCQ, so some of them weren't able to make it into the main event of the race. Of course, there was one driver that was Jonathan Jones, was able to pass through to the feature event. He did not have a substantial finish. There's Aaron Tribble going down a pit road, or out at least, trying to repair the most he can. trying to stay in this race very, very early, as we've got 75 laps, 15 laps more than what we had in the last event. In our first race with 60 laps under our belt, we're going to have 75, an extra 15 to bring us out. But with our caution, first time we see this by the admin, single file restart with Parker White at the head of this field. So no double filing. We'll see all the way to the top. Parker White will try and match the gas pedal the best way he can, and he will lead this field back to the green flag. So pace truck going to come down to turn number 4, going to make that hard left down enter to safety. Parker White's going to get on the gas pedal, and we're back under green on a restart, lap number 11.
And another yellow flag to start it off.
Oh, another yellow. Quick and easy. This time, don't believe it involved anybody at the course of, I believe, Peter Kenny. Yes, it indeed. Peter Kenny. Damage on the front end. Puts us under a yellow flag. I'm not sure whether he was just directly involved in this or whether he just had a piece throughout. We'll try to take our way through. It is fairly difficult to somewhat get a look at these race cars as they're coming out. There was Peter Kenny on this restart. We'll just try to get our best way of the incident that we can. See, as they were going green flag racing here. And actually just unfortunately could not get the replay. Did not really see what happened. I saw Peter Kenny with damage, just unfortunately just could not see what happened there. But that number 35. And there he was, actually stopped on the racetrack. Just unfortunately can't get an exact view on what happened there. But under our second yellow, or I believe our third actually, with Parker White still up front. So still following through in that first race. Early yellows, quick yellows. Seems the field has not been able to really go more than a lap without any cautions happening out of turn number 4 or really out of turn number 2. Even with more grip, Charlie, it's still proving to be difficult. Looking to get the 1 to green signal this time by, and actually still under the yellow flag. So while we do that, we'll just take a short break and we'll be right back with more coverage of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series. You're watching all of this, the Phoenix Doubleheader, live on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back to the Phoenix Raceway, where we have just gone off our third yellow of the evening with Parker White, Aiden Kirker at the top of this field. Have had so many quick yellows to start this off. We're going to see if we can continue trying to get some sort of green flag run off turn 4. Pace truck is off. Parker White's going to go for a late restart this time around, and we are back under green.
Hello?
I got you, Charlie. Marabello looking in a second over Kirker. Already promising early run as Kirker's going to try the crossover. Going to try side by side as White continues to lead.
Got me, Kenneth?
Yes, I got you.
All right, we're back. Yeah, I'm impressed with Riley Marabello. Obviously still lap 17, but he's currently battling for the second position like he's kind of like he's a regular over here with those Media Racing gyros, and Mark Love currently sitting 5th right now.
All single file, seems as though they made their way around, and here's Aaron Mulrooney, who had a tough running in that first race, was kind of in front as we got a crash. Kadarius Tave is around, and a huge flip right behind the drivers. Saw that right in front of the field as Kadarius Tave went over for a spin. We'll take a replay. This was off turn number 4. Another yellow to set us under the pace laps. Trying to make the bottom work here down to the apron and trying to get as much as he can. I think he just might have gotten loose off of here, and indeed he does. Look at the 14 with contact, going back up in. And look at the ride right here for Paul Granada. Oh my goodness. Went flying on that end. You can see now just ahead of this wreck. Is he on board right behind Josh Duke? Some easy plug there with the KBRN logo, and bam! Flying through the air. Fourth yellow flag to come out in this first race. So we'll just see if anyone decides to go down pit road, and still the answer is no. I don't think anyone has really had enough on their tires. They're faking out just a little bit. Still going to be in this as well. But also something to know, did mention in the interview with Glenn Bundren at the end of race number 1 that he was the points leader. While he's not the only one contending for that points lead, driver Aiden Kirker is tied with him in points at the moment going into this second race. So it's not just Bundren at the top. Kirker is still falling behind, and the points are still relatively close between a lot of the drivers. Phoenix still proving to be one of the changes already after Daytona.
Yeah, and from that last race, there were some pretty dramatic changes in points between some of those guys. Some of those guys gaining almost 20 positions, like Cole Williams there, who had a second place run last race. So a lot of changes really shaking it up. And I think after this race, we're going to kind of have a feel of which guys we're going to see up front throughout the rest of the season.
Try and see, and hopefully, I believe a green flag run could be in the cards. Still have yet to see it at all. Still probably hoping to see one, because it's probably going to be the best to see where these drivers are when the tires start to wear out, and as soon as we get a longer run, in the sense that these drivers will have to start adapting to their race cars as they push through, as they start getting looser, as the tires start to wear out a lot more. I've yet to see really any of that in the first race. Still have yet to see it in the second race. I'll tell you what I've noticed though, Charlie. No drivers went down pit road too much in that first opening stint. With all these yellows, not many drivers deciding to head down pit road. It's still maintaining relatively the same up front and what we saw in the opening grid. So apart from that first race where tires seemed to be key and the drivers went down pit road practically immediately after the first yellows, we're starting to see these drivers stay out and maintain their equipment there instead of going down pit road and leading the field down there. Should get the 1 to green here very, very shortly. We're happy that you're tuning in here with us on the KBueno Racing Network for this Phoenix doubleheader. And what has been a wild first race and has already started off to be a wild second one. We're already 22 laps into this race. as the field will get the 1 to green signal by the pace truck. It'll turn its lights off. We'll take one more wrap around before we get to another green flag restart, lap number 23. Currently as it stands, Parker White's still your leader, Aiden Kirker second, Riley Marabello seeped in a third, Mark Love in a fourth, Cole Williams down to fifth. Aaron Mulrooney sixth, Shane Mantova up to seventh, Glenn Bundren after finishing fifth. We'll start on this restart from actually seventh, yes, from eighth. Sartaj Mon will be ninth, top 10. And Jonathan P. Jones. We will try once more at a restart. Lap number 23 in the hands of the 95 of Parker White. Still leading this charge, still leading this field all the way through. We're going to go off turn 4. He's going to be the one to start everybody off. And we are back under green from Phoenix.
Parker White with another really good jump. Riley Marabello gets to the inside of Aiden Kirker. Maybe he'll maintain that run. But a couple of guys, Aaron Mulrooney will be back into the fifth spot.
Already down to fifth. Glenn Bundren now moving his way up to sixth. Cole Williams has started up in this field, has fallen back to seventh. So I'm not sure whether he's just trying to save the most he can. But right behind him, Sartaj Mon has just been spun around. Brady Weileman is involved. And a caution flag again in this race. We'll take our replay once more as he was legitimately spun right in front of this field. Here was the look into turn 3 and 4. Got caught by D. Mantova. Weileman got damaged from that. I think nobody else. Actually, Francisco went straight into the 49. And even more damage. Could just set that 30s night over, especially for the 49. And again, another yellow to bring us out. Man, we have seen a lot of yellows here. I don't think Phoenix has been any sort of nice to these drivers tonight so far, Charlie.
Yeah, well, I can remember this was what kind of the beginning of season 2 was like, you know, when we went to Richmond. But, you know, hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Though Riley Marabello has fallen significantly, and that's because he was probably the only driver to go down pit road without damage. Actually, no, he's with Aaron Mulrooney, Mark Love. So these three, this trifecta, decided to go down pit road, get some tires. They really split themselves from the rest of this field. That possibly could change if you get a longer green flag run. That could be a move that could possibly shake things up to the front of this field. So Marabello in the 92, Aaron Mulrooney in the 2, and Mark Love in the 23. Going to be the drivers down pit road. And speaking of that 92, NASCAR Nathan says the 92 car is looking fire for Airborne Motorsports. A red, white, and black scheme to sport over. One of the nicer cars in this field, and also in race 1, one of the cleanest cars, still relatively clean without any damage, and very impressive one as Kilo Hankins makes his way down to the pit lane. So he'll have to carve his way up along with Mulrooney and Mark Love. They'll be all the way in the back of the field. They'll lose a lot of track position, but guess who's in third? Glenn Bundren has found his way to the outside on those runs, on these restarts. He's been able to gain position since, and now he was in the outside of row number 5 just earlier, and now he's all the way down to the bottom of row number 2. Good to see the grass man all the way down there at a possible chance for a race lead. It's only been just a handful of laps. We really haven't seen too many under green. Usually, if turn 1 and 2 is not the trouble spot, it's always 3 and 4. It seems to get a lot of the drivers in the pack just trying to find their lanes, trying to find runs off the corner, and it seems as though it just doesn't work out. Miscommunications just a little bit too much. The drivers get into incidents as we progress through this race. Going to take a look at our weather, and should it be something that was different from our first race. It was 80 degrees last time under the sun. It's about 8 degrees, a little bit less. 72 degrees with wind still to the north at about 3 miles per hour, so 1 mile per hour over what we had in that first race. No humidity, no fog. Our conditions in the sky are still partly cloudy. Not much of the weather has changed other than just a little bit of a cool down. Our track temp is about 74 degrees. You mentioned earlier in this race that it was about 108, 103, still over 100 degrees in the track temp. During the day, it is significantly different this time around. About 34 degrees cooler, 74. We'll try it once again. Lap number 28. We've had our fair share of yellows, our fair share of restarts. Hopefully we can splice in a green flag run to start, possibly get some strategy, get some running. Have this field spread out just a little bit more. Pace truck will find its way to down a pit road and make the hard left. Parker White, Aiden Kirker, still your front row, unchanged to the drop of the green flag, and we'll drop the green flag on a restart, lap number 28.
Looking pretty smooth into turns 3 and 4. Shane DiMantova, one of the drivers that's looking into the top 5, and a lot of familiar faces into the top 6. And oh, Cole Williams around.
Cole Williams in the back, another yellow as he got turned around. Parker Collins involved. Josh Duke, huge hit into the inside wall. Cole Williams, huge collection, and he is damaged. He is wounded severely, that number 82 Toyota Camry. And that started right at the front of this field of Blaze McKinney. As we'll look again. Was not expecting it to happen all the way up front, Charlie, but still anything in the cards and no contact really from anywhere else. So it's just exiting turn 4, trying to get the best he can. I think might have been some small contact.
That was there was certainly a gap between the two of those, and yeah.
There's another driver involved. That was the 14. I believe that was Sammy Yaya who got into that. He did. He actually found his way to the outside wall and just trying to slow down. Really nowhere to go as Parker Collins got hit. Riley Marabello took a hit into Josh Duke, sending him further into that number 11. They're all damaged severely. On lap number 30 of 75. Under our yellow flag once more.
Oh, tough track for these guys for sure. But you know, as I was saying, there were some really familiar faces up front. A lot of the guys who were kind of racing around here in season 2. You know, Parker White, Aiden Kirker, you know, Glenn Bundren, Blaze McKinney, those guys. So I'm looking for Riley Marabello. I'm not exactly sure what happened.
He actually got involved in the incident where he was just trying to slow down, and Josh Duke got in the way. He got damaged inevitably from that. He's still, I believe, on the racetrack. He's currently sitting 16th. He's now getting the damage. You can see where it hit on the front of that Chevrolet Camaro.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a little bit of damage. Hopefully nothing in terms of the engine compartment, but still going to find his way out and still going to try and survive. So an early promising night is shot down early at lap number 31. Hopefully he can try to catch his way back up to the field and have a better run for APR as they move. As he's actually going to make a second trip down pit road to get some of that extra damage fixed. Make sure he's not a lap down on the racetrack. So again, a familiar sight from race number 1. Seems as though the nighttime has not really changed any of the outcomes so far. Maybe the outcome of the leaders, but not in terms of all the yellows we've seen so far. Charlie.
Yeah, tough start to the season for Airborne Performance Racing. It seems, you know, a lot of those guys just really can't catch a break. Or any other drivers in this field for that matter. There have been a lot of wrecks between the two races.
We'll try once more. I was expecting it to find out somewhere within the midfield, but Cole Williams, I guess some small contact there, and unfortunate. Cole Williams seeing out of this race after finishing second into the first race, already changing the most. And had that contact, small contact with Blaze McKinney. Not sure whether McKinney had any damage from that. I don't believe he did, since it was just some connection contact that really spread them out between themselves. And so he doesn't seem to have any damage on that right front. Relatively different from what happened when he had contact with Dylan Basin in turns 3 and 4, where he did have some right front damage, but still was able to capture the win at the end of that one. We'll go 1 to green. As got a comment by Glenn Bundren, not the owner of the league, but the father of Glenn Bundren. He says 37 is Glenn Jr., my son. Glenn, number 1 Midwest driver, owner, 1977 to 2001. Good to see Mr. Bundren up there in the YouTube chat. Certainly appreciate what Glenn has done for the series, and of course working with us here at the KBueno Racing Network. Always been a lot of fun working with him and being a part of this series, working with the logos, working with all the systems around, and hopefully this league sees some brighter days. As pace truck down to left to pit road, Parker White, Aiden Kirker still maintaining at the front of this field. Relatively early start for Parker White to bring us back to the green flag. As now Bundren's going to look to the bottom. Was not enough to look for second, but is enough to look for third under Blaze McKinney. So White will lead this on lap number 35 all by himself. I think we might have some sort of green flag racing to go through. Here's a battle for fifth between Andy McDowell and Jonathan T. Jones. Trevor Kraus also making his way into the top 5.
Yeah, Trevor Kraus there as well. Jonathan T. Jones for Airborne Performance Racing moving up as well. Andy McDowell also into the top 5. So some new faces starting to inch forward, but Parker White still leading the way.
Parker White, remember, just led this race for a good portion before getting set back through the field to contact Brody Garner after falling back in the top 5. So far, still leading this race. And remember, before this race, after race number 1 in an interview, he stated that it's going to be the same sort of driving style he pursued in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, where he took the checkered flag there at this very track. But tonight, he was going to be, in this second race, a lot more aggressive. So he told us to keep an eye out, keep our eyes peeled for that 95. Certainly it's hard to keep our eyes not peeled on him, as he's currently this race leader. But Aiden Kirker slowly trying to reel him in.
Yeah, and like I mentioned last race, it's worth mentioning that Parker White's still facing his first Bundren Lawn Care Series, when obviously was leading most of the race in race number 1 of the doubleheaders, but unfortunately a mishap prevented him from staying out front. Blaze McKinney took the win there, but Parker White still in a good position, but inching forward to his last race's winner, Blaze McKinney.
And also inching forward is that number 4 and the number 15, Jonathan T. Jones and Trevor Kraus, who are up through this front of the field in those last couple of restarts in race number 1. As we got a spinner behind, I believe that's J.J. Hill, and indeed it is the 54. Seems to be a single car incident. Bring out our yellow after a short green flag stint. Could possibly see drivers head down pit road, but a spin off turn 2 will slow things down once again. We'll take a look at the replay. This is off of turn number 2 for the number 54. Was hanging around where the number 17 was of Cole Woody. You see Bridger Olsen there. And just off turn 2. Not sure whether that was helping. Indeed there was with the 17. I believe that's Cole Woody that gave him the help. And then everybody scrambling to get out of the way of the number 54. As he found his way around. Indeed that was Cole Woody who got into him. As the 54 spins around on the entrance of turn 2. Take a look at the in-car cam right along with that number 54, and just look at how intense that was off turn 2. Man, that's gotta feel nerve-wracking. They're hearing all those race cars still behind you, having to get by, just hoping you don't get hit. Luckily for Hill, though, he stayed clear of all the trouble. Everybody cleared him away, so he'll be okay, except for some damage on that left rear. So some drivers down pit road, and actually everybody behind Parker White decided to go down pit road. So Kirker, McKinney, Jonathan Jones, Mark Love, Mulrooney, everybody down pit road as Parker White decides to stay out with Riley Marabella.
Well, that definitely shook up a lot of the race for sure there, because now a lot of these guys are going to be on very, very first tires. And wow, I'm not sure how Parkway's going to handle this.
So it's going to be a battle between his old tires and everybody else on the new tires. Luckily for him, he asked 2 other drivers to follow with Riley Marabello, who got his damage repaired. He's still on the lead lap. And then Aiden Murray, who also has damage, but also did elect to stay out. He actually did go through pit road. Not sure whether he missed his pit stall or whether he just had a shorter pit stop than practically everyone else who got 4 tires and fuel. So Aiden Murray is going to be 3rd on this grid. So Parker White does have some defense, at least to help him out, should these drivers on the new set of tires get by. Look who shot up to 5th, though, on that pit stop. Andy McDowell up to the top 5. So I'm a little bit further in this top 10, but with that pit stop, it puts him into the 5th position, right behind Aiden Kirker, who was in 2nd. So that 98 and the Proximity Racing team did have a very fast stop. That crew was really at it on that last time around. McKinney 6th, Mark Love in 7th, who pitted this a little bit earlier. Glenn Bundren, who's falling back just a little bit. Nick Miller, we haven't talked about too much, was easily in the conversation. That first race has kind of been on the stealthy side this time around.
Well, I believe we're going to double up here with Parker White leading the way. We're going to restart on lap number 43. And it's going to be 3 guys on old tires versus the rest of the field on new tires. So we're really going to see how this is going to shake up or how it's going to compare. I would expect it to be an easy task for some of the front guys, but some of those guys in the back are going to, realize that they have potential to come up here and maybe try to rush people.
See how much wrestling will happen in turn number 4. Once we get this green flag, we'll have another restart, lap number 43. And remarkably, this race has gone by in a flash. Has gone by relatively quickly. Opposed to race number 1 felt a little bit longer, especially with those green-white checkers. We'll see if this one takes a little longer or whether this one will be a little bit shorter if we get a run to the finish. Nonetheless, pace truck is down and off in a pit road. Parker White, Riley Marabello will be the first 2 to lead to field to green. And we're back under at lap number 43.
And big contact behind. Looks like they're going to keep it straight. A lot of guys with no front ends back there colliding with each other. Looks like they'll keep it green so far. Up front, 3 wide.
3 wide as Aiden Murray tries to look there. There's Andy McDowell on the fresh rubber with Blaze McKinney down to the bottom. You see how much of a difference that makes, especially off turn 2. They're still side by side for 3rd as McDowell shoots his way to 2nd.
Lots of the guys trying to get past the people with those older tires, but looks like Aiden Kirker will be the next car to pass him. And he's still struggling loose. He'll give up that spot.
Oh, man, and he saved it, so good job to keep it straight. But there's a hard-charging field behind. Aiden Murray, Nick Miller, Jonathan Jones, Mark Love. They're almost 3 wide for position in the latter half of this top 10.
And you see they're going to slow up off the corner, so they're going to look 3 wide. Nick Miller down to the inside of the 72. They'll try to jostle for that position, but looks like they've made it through some of those guys. But here comes Andy McDowell looking for the race lead.
Parker White did not decide to pit that time around, but here comes Andy McDowell, going to find his way to the inside on the fresh rubber. Does he have enough space to make it to the bottom? The answer is yes. Down to the quarter panel, just a little bit loose. Here's Blaze McKinney to try to fight.
2 former Sim Performance Group drivers before their closer fighting for the 2nd position. Blaze McKinney to the outside, trying to be the first to challenge Parker White for that race lead. Andy McDowell loose, gives up that spot. Blaze McKinney to 2nd place.
Oh, and he also had to keep it straight, much like Aiden Kirker fighting that race car on the exit of turn number 2 as defending winner right in race 1 just a little bit earlier ago. Blaze McKinney has found his way back to the front of this field. It's a 2-car breakaway as remarkably Marabello is holding strong with the rest of this field behind.
Yeah, true to that statement there. Currently sitting in the 3rd position still, but we've seen that 95 and the 87 come together a lot of times battling for the race win, but once again we're going to see him, but I believe every single time that's happened, Parker White has come out on the short end of the stick, and he is at a disadvantage for having those older tires. So we're going to come around and closing on the 25 lap to go mark, we're going to see.
Also something about the 95 and a lot of the guys that did stay out, it's not too much of an advantage with the drivers on the fresh tires. Of course, it helps a little bit with grip in the middle of the corners, but that 95, all the drivers who did stay out, they were just struggling. They were just on the restarts. They didn't have too many laps under their set. as they were running those green flag laps. It was just about 1 or 2 green flag laps before they would have to slow down again and go for the yellow flag, concede to the pace car. So right now, if you're seeing this battle just maintaining equal, that's the reason why that 95 really hasn't used up his stuff as much throughout this run. Still, though, at a disadvantage, as McKinney is definitely putting that pressure.
Inching closer and closer, just a half a car length back. They're going to come around here and get the 26 lap to go mark of this 75 lap race, but that number 87 Chevy Camaro is looking mean up to that back bumper. Parker White almost gives it a little bit of slide on the corner. Andy McDowell spins off the corner, but exits the game before the yellow comes out.
Andy McDowell, who fell through, he exited and just alt forward, so no yellow flag with 25 laps to go. Here is a move up to the top, almost a crossover, as the 87 is still there. If you're looking for the battle for third on back, Aiden Kirker has cleared his way to Riley Marabello, so has Nick Miller, so Marabello will fall his way to 5th. Aaron Mulrooney Jr. will also file in 6th. Jonathan Jones 7th, Mark Love 8th, Trevor Kraus 9th, and the 200 winner, Bridger Olson. Good to see him in this top 10.
And to the inside goes Blaze McKinney for the race lead. He'll have that lane going into turns 3 and 4. We'll see if he can keep that run down the front straightaway. But while they're side by side, that's going to allow Aiden Kirker, your points leader right now, to try to make up some time here.
And those would be some good points if he could stay up to third, even try to hang on for second, and even the race lead if these two decide to tango. And so far, they are certainly battling hard as McKinney finds his way to the inside. He's going to try it once more at the race lead. Last time it was unsuccessful in 3 and 4 as the 95 held that spot up to the top. McKinney still looking to the bottom, side by side off turn 4.
Even off of turn number 4, and Aiden Kirker has closed that gap. He closed it just about 2/10 on that last lap. So Aiden's definitely going to be in this mix, and being on the bottom, being tucked up right under someone, that's going to hurt the 87's tires, and this is overall helping the 39 of Aiden Kirker save and maybe make a move later on.
And it can also help Parker White as well because he's hanging up to the top. He's not using as much of his stuff. Maybe being aggressive up to the top, but even then, he's still hanging tight with a driver that was on relatively fresh tires. So even then, as the 87 tries to look to the bottom, as now he concedes to second, it is still smooth for that 95 as he's able to defend, and that 87 still just cannot get the run off the corner. But look who's into this site. You mentioned Aiden Kirker could try to make a run. He's already found his way as he's now right to the back bumper of both of these machines, first and second.
Yeah, and full credit to Parker White for just hanging on to Blaze those fresh tires. Very, very, very impressive for him to be able to hang on like that, especially when there's such a big difference in the iRacing service between those fresh tires. And contact between the 4 and the 92.
Jones got into Marabello. Luckily, they keep it straight. Jonathan Jones is going to continue on. He's going to lose a lot of track position as a result, but fortunately, he stays still. No real damage to that number 4. We stay green with now just 20 laps to go at the line this time by. Look who's also found his way to the top 4. Nick Miller still in the picture as well.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that Nick Miller and Aaron Mulrooney Jr., these guys are starting to spring up together. We got caution out.
Caution flag around on the racetrack. We'll try to find our way, see who it might have been. It could have been Trevor Kraus in the 15. Might have gotten involved, and indeed it was that 15. Was fighting with Mark Love for a spot in this top 10 as Bridger Olson was following behind. This was the side-by-side action going into turn number 1. So we have a relatively longer green flag run this time around, Charlie, and there's the contact with Mark Love. Nobody else involved, but huge hit to Trevor Kraus to end pretty much his night in race number 2 as he goes on to the pit lane. And now the question is, Charlie, do you go down a pit road? Do you get the fresh set of rubber? Do you try to hang on? What does Parker White do in this situation here?
I think that everyone's going to come down pit road. That's just my prediction. But, I mean, it's definitely kind of a fresh breath for Parker White, because if he does pits and everyone else does, they're going to be even with them.
Well, there it is. The answer will be yes. Everybody will be even. So everyone on the lead lap, apart from, I'd say, Kilowa Hankins, will go down pit road. There's some lap cars. There's Sammy Yaya, Cole Williams, Francisco Bacallao. They're going to make their way as lap machines. And the rest of the drivers on the lead lap going to find their way down to the pit road as White enters in first. We'll see just how he can keep it going if he's able to maintain his spot. He goes right into the first pit stall, and I think both of them might have missed their pit stall. I saw the 87 back up a little bit, saw the 95 also back up a little bit. The 39 had a perfect entrance into that pit stop. And guess who comes out first? Nick Miller in the number 9 will beat everyone off pit road. That had to have been some sort of two-tire strategy compared to the rest of this field, as White will lead after. Kirker, Mulrooney, McKinney falls back about 2 spots. About 3, actually.
Wow. That's definitely going to be a game-changing strategy, but we're going to come to a 15 lap sprint to the finish here. So obviously, if it was a long run, I wouldn't really, say that was a good strategy, but we only have 15 laps to decide this race, so maybe this could be the strategy that helps Nick Miller win. Plus, he's going to be in control of the restart.
And he's able to shoot out in the front, just like we saw everybody do. We saw Parker White do it. We saw Blaze McKinney do it. We saw the leader every single time that would go off turn 4 for a restart. They'd always have the strategy to throw everybody off their game, and they're easily clear by just about half a second always into turn number 1, and they're always able to gain that advantage. And it's basically just a game of just catch me if you're the leader. Just catch me if you can, as they always get the advantage. This time Nick Miller elects for 2 tires on this stop, and he is going to be the race leader once we wrap around and rack everybody up for a restart. Parker White, though, will start on the outside of row number 1, so we'll see just how that affects his restart, because he's also going to be fending off Aiden Kirker, Aaron Mulrooney, practically everybody else looking to the bottom, which could be their preferred lane. Or we could see Miller falter on this restart. We could see not as key of a restart, maybe more even restart between everybody here. Could possibly change the game up, as White said he was going to be aggressive. So we'll see just how aggressive he will be, and practically every other driver, to try and go for a win in the second race of this Phoenix doubleheader right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Before we go green here, Charlie, this is another mixed match of the field. We saw a couple of these drivers in race 1 fighting for the win, but some of these drivers are making their first appearance, as Mulrooney, Marabello, Mark Love, Jonathan Z. Jones, they're in this mix. Kirker fighting for the win. What's different now that could be the game-changing factor, as apart from what we saw on the late race restarts in that first race? We'll try in 3 and 4 with just 15 laps to go in this race. Nick Miller on 2 tires versus Parker White and everybody else on 4. Off of turn number 4, pace truck is off. Miller up and away. We are back under green for what could be maybe the final run.
And Nick Miller with the advantage right now. And loose off of the corner, that's not going to be good for his rear tires.
Mulrooney up to 3rd. Aiden Kirker and Blaze McKinney going to fight for 4th. And Marabello holding on to the 5th spot, as now Parker White has closed that lead down to just 0.349 seconds that last time by. He is slowly reeling in the 9 machine, especially as he got loose off turn 4. Here comes Mulrooney also to join the fray.
Mulrooney and Parker, that's
very interesting, as now they're starting to get up to the race lead, still fighting for 4th between Kirker and McKinney. Parker White's going to decide to go the high route on the dog leg, still gaining time, but it's still remaining even between the two as the 95 comes by. We're going to get 12 laps to go from Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm looking at the runs here, and it seems like the 95 just kind of gets a better exit, or the guy's on 4 tires. But he's inching closer and closer, but yeah, as you see, kind of mid-corner, he kind of loses that rear grip, and you got another yellow flag.
Caution out again to suffer, or to stray on this run. I believe it might have been PJ Merrill involved, as he was rarely slow. But we'll take a look Indeed it was. That 7 of PJ Merrill to bring out this yellow. It was a fight on the inside of turn number 1 and 2 under Keelan Belsha. This time just got loose, and Haran actually did save the machine. Actually, no, did not save the machine. Did lock up the brake sideways, and that's the reason the yellow flag was signaled on the racetrack. And that spliced up a run that could have been very, very interesting to watch, as Parker and Mulrooney were catching up to Miller. Now what happens down pit road? Does Miller decide to go in? Is that everybody will stay out? They'll fake their way out. I think that 95 was, or maybe the 9 was trying to reel in any other driver to go down pit road. But from that last restart and that last run, those 2 tires are working for Miller, but at some point, those 4 tires in Mulrooney and White are starting to prevail.
Yeah, and you kind of notice throughout the run, at least from an observation point of view, the guys on 4 tires really just had better fire off the corners and really just had better speed mid-burn. And that's really the distance of being on being one-sider car, being on new tires. So, you know, throughout the season, we're gonna kind of explain kind of the differences as these guys make these 2 tire calls.
And 2 tire calls will be significant as soon as we go through the rest of this season. We've seen it before in season 2. We'll definitely see a lot of that in the season number 3. Of course, Nick Miller has been one of the drivers to do that in season 2. There's been a lot of other drivers that have performed 2 tire strategies prior. We've seen it on the KBueno Racing Network. If you tuned into the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series from Richmond, you saw the race-winning move from Cole Williams was decided from a 2 tire strategy, as opposed to the 4 tire strategy that everybody else took in that race, gave Cole Williams the win. So we'll just have to see. We're getting about 8 laps to go until we get to the finish of this race at lap number 75. Nick Miller still at the front of this field. What's going to be interesting now, Charlie, is Parker White's going to have to start again on the outside. So he nailed that first restart where he was able to clear himself, the rest of the guys. He was able to spread himself out, stay single file in second. This time, though, he might have a charge from Mulrooney down to the bottom. And we've seen the battle between Mulrooney and Parker on the last race of the season in season 2. So indeed, this makes the story a little more compelling on our end, at least, to try and hype up, as we're possibly going to get the 1 to green signal this time by. Let's take a look at our race summary presented by Supermix. Currently 66, now 67 laps going to be completed on the racetrack with 8 laps to go. Our 1 to green signal will come out now. We've had 4 lead changes. We've had 9 yellows. So combine that with what we've had in the first race. We had, I'd say, about 21 yellows to combine so far. We'll see if there's any more yellows. Your current leader is Nick Miller, the number 9 machine. Charlie, your thoughts before we go green on a possible final run to the finish?
Well, we kind of saw last race how it pushed into those green-white checkers, but I mean, I have high hopes. I think that we're going to see a pretty good race at the finish. It's going to be really exciting seeing Nick Miller try to hold the other guys off that are on 4 tires.
This could be the deciding factor between winning or losing for Nick Miller, Parker White, or practically anyone else in this field. Will we have any more yellows? We'll just have to find out. Nick Miller, Parker White going to be the 2 to lead the field of green, and we are back underway from Phoenix.
Side by side for 2nd place. That's really what's going to determine if they can run down Nick Miller here, is getting cleared for that 2nd position, but Aaron Mulrooney's holding strong on the bottom side.
He's going to slide up the track, maybe get a little bit loose. That could clear Parker White. No contact with Aaron Mulrooney. He's around on the front straightaway. Caution flag waves with 6 laps to go. And we did say the story was compelling between the two. It didn't look intentional there, but Mulrooney has significant damage to the number 2 Toyota Camry. And we are under the yellow flag once more. Take a look at this fight off turn 4.
and the reason for the yellow flag. Right under Mulrooney there, as the 95 just tried to hold to the outside. Maybe looked just a little bit loose off the corner, got into Mulrooney. Don't think that looked intentional at any part of the imagination, as Keelan Belsha smashes right in, and Francisco has nowhere to go. We'll look at the part of Parker White. We'll see.
Well, based on what I'm hearing in iRacing live chat, they are not happy with each other, and there's a lot of experience between these two guys kind of running into each other, so that certainly did not help it there.
Oh man, with 5 laps to go at a closing stage of this race. I mean, at this point, it didn't really look too intentional. It didn't look intentional from there. It just looked like the 95 was trying to stay off of the wall, make sure he didn't hit it, and just, I think, turned just a little bit too much to the left. And then Mulrooney was already there since they were practically pinching each other. They were just inches apart. And then they got into each other as a result. That doesn't spell any damage for the 95, though. Remarkably, there's only damage to the right front, which he did accrue just a little bit earlier in this race, but it has not affected him too much. Mulrooney falls to 20th, 1 lap down with that incident. And the person who slides in a third, Blaze McKinney, winner, race 1. Gonna find his way to 3rd on this next restart. And again, we're seeing ourselves the late yellows to push us further into this race. Could go easily into the overtime section. And if that does happen, if we push it a green-white checker, here's how it will play out. We will have a restart as Parker White decides to go down pit road. We'll have a restart with three laps to go. We'll head our way, try to get to the white flag. If we get a caution before we reach the white flag, we'll get another attempt. We have up to 3 attempts to get this race finished on the green-white checker conditions before the race is called off for good under yellow and the field will be frozen. We did use all 3 of our attempts to reach the checkered flag in that first race. But if we do get to the white flag on any of these attempts, no yellows will come out. If anyone wrecks, that will be the race, and the winner will emerge the winner. We'll have the driver come back to the finish line, and they will win this race. They'll be named victorious at the end of this one. Parker White has gone down pit road. Charlie, do you have any more information on this? Could have been a penalty or just a pit stop?
Yeah, Parker White did receive an EOL penalty, so he's just going down pit road, getting some fresh tires, and he will be taking his end of the line penalty as a result of that wreck. And the admins determined that he was the cause of it.
Oh man! So again, late in this race, Parker's just possibly going to come up just short of a win. He's going to have to carve through everybody in these attempts. It did happen in the first race where he got up to 3rd, but even then, I think at this point in the race, carving through, especially if we finish off, this race could be way different. Could just spell another possible win for Parker White. Meanwhile, up front, though, Miller has held strong to the lead. He hasn't given it up since these yellow flags. Blaze McKinney going to be the driver to the outside. Aiden Kirker is going to be on the inside. Riley Marabello going to be in 4th. Jonathan T. Jones going to be in 5th on the bottom. That's row number 3 with Mark Love on the outside of that number 4 machine. Interesting top 10 to look at, especially when you consider Shane DiMantovo without a front bumper is sitting 9th on the racetrack. But up front, we'll just see how this one plays out. Pace truck down to the safety of pit road. Miller is going to go shooting off as we are back under green, what could be the final restart of tonight.
Yeah, just 2 laps to determine the winning here. Blaze McKinney going to need every inch of room he can. 2 former Sim Performance Group drivers, 1-2 right now with Aiden Kirker from the outside looking in. It's going to take a move that could possibly take out the 2 leaders. In order for Aiden Kirker to make that move, and they're wrecking behind, no yellow flag out. They're going to keep racing the line here.
White flag this time by from Phoenix. Kirker looks to the bottom. That could not help any situation for both of them as Miller tries to shoot out one more final time through 3 and 4. The 39 is going to try a ditch effort at the last second.
but it might not be enough. Off of turn number 4, the second winner of the doubleheader here at Phoenix goes to Nick Miller, and the number 9 going back to victory lane in the Bundren Lawn Care Series from the desert.
Wow, that was, like you said, that was the last ditch effort from the 39 of Kirker to try to take that win. Did not work, and Nick Miller is your winner.
Good finish for both Riley Mirabello and Jonathan T. Jones. They come home 4th and 5th. So that 92, even with the damage, was able to scratch up a 4th place finish for Airborne Performance Racing, as Nick Miller hangs on, survives the madness, and now just going crazy for the celebration here as he burns it down in front of virtual fans. Had McKinney hold on in the final laps to win race number 1. Miller with the same situation in race number 2. Concluding our doubleheader here from Phoenix. But we'll take a look at your unofficial race results live from the Phoenix Raceway, where Nick Miller grabs his first win of the Bundren Lawn Care Series season. So 3 first-time winners in all 3 races. Bridger Olson at Daytona, Blaze McKinney winning for the first time in the season at Phoenix the first time around, and Miller taking the win. Blaze McKinney, though, just short at 0.277 seconds as Aiden Kirker tried that last move. It ultimately set him down a 3rd. Riley Mirabello for Airborne Performance Racing finishes in 4th. Jonathan T. Jones in this top 5. Mark Love comes back to P6. Kevin White Jr., what a move into the top 10 for him in that 38 machine. The 200 winner, Bridger Olson, will finish in 8th. Shane DiMantova, without a front bumper, finishes in 9th. Cole Woody in the 17 in the Richmar Flores machine will finish tonight in this top 10.
Right outside the top 10, Brady Wheelman finishes 11th. J.J. Hill finishes 12th. Parker White, after contact with Aaron Mulrooney and the EOL, he drives back for a 13th place finish. Gun Bunch in 14th after spinning, coming to the line there and lost a couple spots. P.J. Merrill finishes 15th. Josh Duke 16th. Aaron Trill 17th. Aiden Murray 18th. Keola Hankins on a might I mention that Keola Hankins was driving this entire race on a mouse, because he's typically he would be living in Hawaii right now, but he's going to college or going to school in Charlotte, so he is on a mouse and finishes 19th on the lead lap. Aaron Maroney Jr. will round out your top 20.
21st, Cole Williams got into that incident on the front straightaway, and it really set his night down from there. 5 laps down. Keelan Belshaw, also Yamada Racing driver, finishes 22nd. Trevor Krause with a hard hit to the inside wall will finish 23rd. Semi Ayao in his first start finished 24th. Francisco Bacayao finishes 17 laps down in 25th. Andy McDowell, after an early strong run, caution came out as he apparently had lost power, finishes 26th. Sartaj Mon finishes 27th. Parker Collins 28th. Paul Granada 29th. Kadarius Tave in the top 30. Running out the top 34 to start this race. We had 40 in the first race, 34 in this race. Peter Kenny 31st. Brayson Collins 32nd. Josh Patterson 33rd. And William Schmidt rounding out your 34 car field here at Phoenix Raceway. We'll just take a moment and we'll step away for a moment. Once we come back, we'll have the KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by STC. We'll have interviews with the top 5 and more as we look forward onto the rest of this season and pack our way around from the Phoenix Raceway. We'll be right back. We've got more coming. You're watching the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series on the KBueno Racing Network.
Welcome back to the Phoenix Raceway, where we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage, brought to you by SDC Aerial Droning and Mapping. And what a race we had! 2 races actually in the desert for the Phoenix Raceway here for Season 3 of the Bundren Lawn Care Series in race number 2. It was Blaze McKinney taking the victory the first time around, and it was Nick Miller winning the race in the second time under the lights. And as we look into victory lane, we'll bring that number 9 of Nick Miller in to the booth and through his victory lane circle. And Nick, of course, a win to hang on there in those final laps, and practically the same thing that really happened in the first race. You had a decent race there the first time around in the sun. You prevail here on the 2-tire strategy here under the lights at Phoenix. Just walk us through that strategy. What was the reasoning behind the strategy, and ultimately how well did it really help you up there at the front to hang on for the win?
Parker staying out with like 40 lap old tires and like being able to battle with the guys on fresher tires really kind of showed that like tires matter, but like they don't matter that much. So I kind of knew we needed track position as well, considering Parker was able to hang on. So I took the 2 tires, going for track position. Hopefully it wasn't loose, and it really wasn't until that one moment I had. But yeah, it was. I definitely had to go for track position over 4 tires, I guess you could say.
Well, track position certainly played to your favor, and you take the win here tonight. But also, comparing these 2 races, the first one in the daytime with a hotter track temperature versus this second race at a cooler track temperature, what seemed to be the most favorable condition for you under the lights that really helped you the most, as opposed to really what benefited you in that first race?
Personally, I just wanted green flag racing, and that's what the night brought. I guess because they tightened up the setup a little bit, so we were able to get longer laps. But also, night racing also kind of allows the dog leg to be used a lot more. It's not as slippery and loose on the dog leg, so more people use it, gives it more space, and gives you more options to make a pass. So I prefer the night over the day for sure, but they were both fun. Both took talent to drive at least, which is what I like.
Well, Nick, you certainly proved to the rest of the field that even though those 2 tires are less than 4, you could still be the driver to prevail. And before we let you go to celebrate this victory, Nick, and your first win of this Season 3 after a championship 4-1 last season, which people do you got to thank? Any team sponsors or any shout-outs you'd just like to give out to the world for your win here tonight?
Yeah, not really sure if I'm on a team in this league. I'm checking real quick because I don't remember. Yeah, I am. Proximity Racing, of course. They're doing really good. We're getting set up for the future in Road to Pro, getting a few of our drivers trying to get into the Pro this year. So I have high hopes for Proximity Racing and those boys.
All right, Nick. Well, we appreciate the time. Once again, congratulations on your win here at Phoenix Raceway, and we'll see you coming to the next few weeks in the Bundren Lawn Care Series. But until then, congratulations on the win. Go celebrate.
Thank you, guys.
That was Nick Miller, your winner here from the second race of the doubleheader at Phoenix. Gonna look to second, where race number 1's winner, Blaze McKinney, will file out. He is trackside with Charlie Baier.
Blaze into the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, Blaze, the 4-tire strategy really didn't come into your hands there in the second race, but I have to ask, what, coming down to that green white checkered in that last 15-lap stint, what more could you have done to try to take 2 in a row tonight?
Yeah, I think it was just that last coming to the white there, and I just needed to be in either a different lane, or I just needed to run through Nick when he got loose, because once I checked up for him, I got passed by Aiden, and then me and him were battling, and there was nothing I could do. I think I definitely had the better car there at the end. He checked up off of 4, and I had to check up to her because I didn't want to run him over, and we just got set back there, and we couldn't get back to him. But overall, it was a good race. I think we needed more track position. I felt like we were stuck out of the top 5 for too long. We finally got back up there at the end, but happy with what we got, first and second tonight. So hopefully we'll be top 2 or top 3 in points, so we can go to I think Daytona Road Course next week and get another good finish there.
Yeah, and you mentioned the road course next week. What's the plan in taking on that? Because it's abrasive, it's flat, but it requires a lot of driver skill there. So what's the strategy coming into next week?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite road courses to go to. So personally, I'm pretty excited about it. But I'll definitely put some practice laps in to make sure I'm ready, and hopefully we can go out there and win it. I know there's some really tough road course racers in here. It'll be a tough one, but it'll still be fun for sure.
All right, Blaze, thanks for coming out here and racing with us. Just came up short with a 2 in a row tonight, but nonetheless, good points finishes for you. But before we send you off and seeing you next week, do you have any teams or anyone that you'd like to thank for making the nice second place run happen?
Yeah, for sure. Grayson, all the guys at Flying Arrows, some of my teammates, Shane, working with me a lot during the races, just kind of talking strategy and stuff. Glenn for putting the league on every week. You guys for putting the broadcast on every week. They're great. I'm really thankful for you guys. And definitely Chris for giving me these great paint schemes to drive every week and sponsoring me. So hopefully we can get all those guys a win next week.
All righty, we'll see you next week, and wish you the best of luck, man.
Thank you.
Blaze out of the booth, last season's champion. Almost finishes 2 in a row tonight, but nonetheless, an average finish of 1.5.
Certainly something not to complain about for that number 87 camp, winning the first race, finishing second in the second race. But another driver who got another top 5, Aiden Kirker, who finished third in the first race, finishes back to third in the second event here in Phoenix. And Aiden, back to the booth once again. You finished third on the podium that first race around. You replicate the same performance here tonight. Just walk us through this race in its entirety. How much different was this compared to that first race under the sun?
This race was a lot faster, definitely more gripped up. I definitely felt a lot more comfortable in these conditions. I had fun battling with Parker for the lead there early on. I felt like if we got a long run, I definitely could have passed him, possibly got the win, but it was just a bunch of short run. So I think that we had a good car tonight. The track conditions definitely played for our favor. Just scenarios with the cautions didn't fall the right place, so didn't really end up in victory lane. But third place is still pretty solid.
Definitely saw it for sure. And now you're coming out of this short track and you're going to an entirely different track in its entirety. You're going back to Daytona Beach, but you're not visiting the super speedway. You're going over to the Daytona road course. What are your thoughts and initial expectations about going to that road course off of these good finishes here from Phoenix?
I think that'll be probably my best chance to win a race this season. I am really comfortable with the road racing, and that track I've put a lot of laps down at, and I feel pretty quick on it. So I'm pretty confident heading into next week that we can have another solid run to back up our run at Daytona and both races at Phoenix.
Well, Aiden, certainly before we let you go on another replicated interview after the last step of the podium, got you in race 1 and race 2. Before we let you go, any sponsors, teams, or any thanks you'd just like to give out to the world here on the KBueno Racing Network, anybody that makes these things possible for you?
Yeah, once again, I want to thank Media Racing and our sponsors, Appella Gaming, Z's Custom Diecast, and Stealth Energy. Really, really happy to have them on board. Really happy to race for a great team in EMR, and really hoping to pick up a win for these guys. I let one slip away tonight, but hopefully I can get one next week.
Aiden, well, much congratulations to you on both podium finishes here tonight from Phoenix. We look forward to what you can do and seeing what you can do over the Daytona road course. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
Aiden Kirker finishes tonight from third. Looking over to P4, quite possibly one of the feel-good stories here at Phoenix Raceway. Airborne Performance Racing gets their first top 5 of the Bundren Lawn Care Series with Riley Marabello, who's sitting trackside with Charlie Baier.
And Riley, for Airborne Performance Racing, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. I'm right here.
Well, Riley, a feel-good story for you tonight. Top 5 for you, finishing 4th in race number 2 of the doubleheaders. But I have to ask, under those last green-white checkers, or that last green-white checkered attempt, what was really going through your mind there to try to pull off a top 5 finish here?
You know, I'm going to be honest. What was really going through my mind is I was actually watching the leaders up front. I thought they were going to wreck, especially coming to the checkered flag. We were in turn 3. I saw the 39 get into Blaze, and I went under the 39 to try to go under him to see if I could maybe pull off a second or third place finish. Obviously, it didn't work. But before that, you know, I was just trying to be cool, calm, and collected and try to finish top 5 or possibly even win if the leaders wrecked.
And improving on your finish from the earlier setting, the day setting from race number 1, what was really the difference going from a day setting to a night setting?
I'd really say the day setting, it felt a lot looser. The car felt really loose. especially coming out of turn 4. But the night setting, I'm going to be honest, I don't know why, but I felt like I had more grip in the car for some reason. I could get better drive off exit of 2 and 4 on the straights. I had more straightaway speed, and the car just felt really good overall.
All right, Rai, thanks for coming out here and racing with us in the doubleheaders tonight. Very consistent race for you, ends in a top 5 finish. But before we let you go and we send you off for next week, do you have any teams or anyone that you'd like to thank for making tonight's top 5 run happen?
Yeah, I do. I would like to thank my team, Airborne Performance Racing, the owners, John, Sammy, and Wyatt. Thank you for letting me race for you. My spotter tonight, Nathan Soren, he led me through the final portion of the race there. I'd also like to thank Neon's Family Moving for being on the car tonight, as well as the Laugh Lab. I'd also like to thank my teammates for racing me clean tonight, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Alrighty, thanks once again, and good luck next week, man.
Thank you.
Riley Marabella, another really nice guy in the field. Good to get to know him as well, and hope to see more good finishes out of him later in the season.
It was a great interview talking with Riley Marabella, of course, a driver for Airborne Performance Racing in the top 5. He is joined with his second teammate to be in the top 5 as well. That's Jonathan T. Jones rounding out this top 5. And Jonathan, we just discussed with your teammate Riley about his finish in P4. You joined the fray in Airborne Performance's top 5 run tonight in P5, and you had one of the more consistent races in race number 1 and race number 2, but what felt really different here in this second race that really gave you the benefit of the doubt as opposed to race 1 where it was kind of a little more chaotic?
Gotta be grip level. I mean, it going from day to night, the grip levels on exit of 4, it felt like ice. And I mean, I gotta put up with it, but in the long run, we probably had the best car out there in the long run. But I mean, it was fun to race alongside him. About took him out once, but I mean, that's racing.
Well, it certainly comes to a great news for you, and not only you, but the team that you're on, Airborne Performance Racing, which get their first top 5 in their debut, actually their second race in the season after the 200 at Daytona. What's going to be the key for the success of this team in their first season in this series once we go to the Daytona road course and as soon as we start to spray out to the rest of the season?
Consistency. I mean, we've been practicing for the past 2 weeks at the road course, and I mean, we feel like we got strong cars, but for the way our season's been going so far, we're very, very excited to see what we can do in the future as a team. I know my sponsors, Trek, our friends at Rich Mar, and SD Graphics, we have created a awesome team, and we're ready for the future.
Certainly excited to see what the rest of the guys and you, of course, at Airborne Performance Racing can do. Before we let you go, obviously you mentioned your team a handful of times. I'm sure you're thankful for them, but is there anyone else, any sponsors, or really anyone else you'd just like to give the love and shout-outs to before we let you go here?
I got to thank APR. Sammy, Yaya, Wyatt Dueling for letting me race for them, and we're going to be recruiting sooner or later in the future, and we know it's going to be a good time. So we're ready. We're ready to keep these top 5s rolling.
Well, Jonathan, we certainly appreciate the time, and of course, congratulations on the top 5 here tonight, the second race of the doubleheader here at Phoenix Raceway. We look forward to seeing what you can do, and we're excited to see what APR can perform in the rest of the season going into the Daytona road course. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Jonathan Jones will finalize the interviews in the top 5. He finishes 5th for his team tonight. Charlie, we have finally concluded what has been the 2-race stint in the doubleheader for the Bundren Lawn Care Series here from Phoenix Raceway. We now move on to the Daytona road courses. We're going to look at the schedule right there. You see Texas is number 3, but that's going to be scratched off. Now that we had this doubleheader, we're going to go straight to the Daytona road course. Charlie, I know that's going to be the first road course of the season and also very early in the season. In fact, what is going to be the biggest thing that separates a lot of the drivers in this field from others at a road course, especially at a track like Daytona where it's very tricky?
Yeah, well, Daytona is a very, very abrasive track, very, very flat, for these NASCAR cars. And we're going to see how a lot of these guys are going to take it. We're going to see some of the road course riggers kind of shine in that next race. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for some of these guys, and I just can't wait to see how it is. I love road course racing as a fan. I'm excited for it.
Definitely going to be excited for that. If you want to tune in to the rest of the Bundren Lawn Care Series season, and of course next week's race at Daytona International Speedway on the road course configuration, you can tune into it right here on the KBueno Racing Network, and it'll be most likely at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Should it change, we'll let you know through our social medias, of course, through our YouTube and through our Twitter at KBRN Network. You can follow that there, but also
at the Daytona Road Course. We will have all the coverage there. Our pre-race coverage brought to you by Supermix, and our post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. We'll have all of that and more coming next week. We are very excited for everything moving on to the rest of this season. Big thank you to every single one of you for watching and tuning in to both races of the Phoenix Doubleheader. Certainly appreciate all of the support, and on behalf of everyone at the Bundren Lawn Care Series, for Glenn Bundren for putting this lead together, and everybody, of course, Glenn Bundren's dad for watching here tonight. All the shout outs to him, and of course, for all of us here at the KBueno Racing Network, for Francisco Bacalhau, and of course, Charlie Baier in the booth with me, Kenneth Bueno, saying good night from the Desert Valley.